The podcast on Haunted Hill will contain spoilers and swearing.
I am the devil, and I am here to do the devil's work.
Please hold this, Michael. Be one of us.
I didn't tell you my name.
Hang up.
I didn't tell them my name.
They're all part of it. They're all parts of it.
Come. It is time to keep your appointment.
Hello and welcome to the podcast on Happy Birthday Haunted Hill, episode 147?
148.
148! My name is Gav.
I'm Dan.
I literally said to you before we started, that number? You were like, yeah, and I go and say a wrong number.
Doesn't matter, we've done so many. Yes, birthday. Whose
Indeed.
birthday is it?
It's my birthday, and I shall cry if I want to. 50 Cent didn't sing that, did he?
No, he didn't. He said, it's your birthday, go Gavin. We're going to party like you are Gavin. Or something
Or
like
like
that.
you are having a good time.
Yeah.
Everybody
And then
have a good time.
Well, we sound like we're having a good time. It's your birthday, Gav. Very, very happy birthday. Many happy returns. We're obviously a little later than your actual birthday, but this is your birthday episode, so I guess you can wear the patron crown, you can wear the birthday crown,
Birthday
you can
crown
wear
makes sense.
the birthday pants, whatever you want to wear.
I'm wearing my birthday pants all the year round. Does that mean commando?
Your birthday suit is...
Well, if you're wearing birthday pants, then you're pretty much commando as well.
Yeah,
Anything
yeah.
you say birthday to with clothing means nothing. So I
Yeah,
could say
'cause-
my birthday elephant costume.
It'd be weird if you were born with clothes on, wouldn't it?
Is that your trunk? No, it's my penis.
Trunk. All right, mate. Jesus.
Hope everybody in the world is happy, safe, and enjoying their little life on the planet Earth.
As we trickle into 2024 a little bit more, we're easing into our... finishing up the first month.
Hasn't been anything like, hasn't been major celebrity deaths or anything going on. It's, you know, I remember that year when all of a sudden it was like David Bowie dies, like, oh my god, what? And then it rolled from there. Prince dies, like, oh my god, okay.
That was a big year for celebrity deaths, wasn't
It
it?
was a weird one.
But no, nothing major as yet. Touch wood, things stay safe and normal and quiet.
Yeah.
So yeah, birthday. And as always, for anyone who's never heard one of our birthday episodes, the birthday boy, in this case Gav, has gotten to... Yeah, boy!
Yeah,
Play,
Roy!
play.
Sure did.
The birthday boy gets to pick the movies, which you will know what they are because you clicked on it.
The thing, you saw it.
But Gav, just for clarity,
Just so they know.
what have you chosen for us to review and listen to talk about?
I've chosen a movie called Sorcerer, which I feel like people could be like, the fuck is it? What is it, a fantasy movie? Like those sort of sword and sorcerer movies of the early 80s? No, it's not. You'll find out. It basically, very quickly, if you haven't seen it, I hope you have seen it. But and then again, it's not a spoiler type movie, so actually it doesn't matter. You can listen to our review and go, oh, that sounds good. And
I guess the ending is and who
a
survives
little
and who
bit, I
doesn't.
guess, but it's not too bad. It's the whole adventure itself. Anyway, it's to throw it in there in a quick line. Some guys who are. They've just basically got to take some dynamite through a jungle in 2 lorries. That's kind of it. That sounds really weird and an odd premise for a film. And it's actually a remake, which I discovered when we did the review. And I didn't get a chance to watch that remake. It's supposed to be very good. Also, French, I think. That's the movie. Then the other movie I've picked for that, and that's it's going to be a deeper conversation, isn't it?
Well, you should say also it's a William Friedkin movie as well.
After Exorcist, it's the movie that he feels is his best movie that he's made.
Very proud of it. So I'm sorry, so I cut you off. So the other movie you've chosen is a more recent one, isn't it?
Yeah, because the other movie's like early 70s, and it's going to be a more of a serious conversation. There's not going to be many jokes had. I'm sure there will be some random tangents, but the other one I thought to make it to tip the scales, get them nice and balanced a little bit more. Going to go for a very new movie from last year. I went to the cinema to watch it, actually. Studio 666, which is a random fucking movie of a band called the Foo Fighters. Ghostbusters. Just
Who
decided.
you may have heard of.
I know all about how it got going as well, so we can get into that because I read some interviews on Rolling Stone with David Grohl.
Yes, so Studio 666, 2022, and The Sorcerer from 1977.
They're both
Old and new.
different, and they both start with the letter S. Sexy.
Sexy Sorcerer, Sexy Studio 666. So that's what we're covering. So Gav, happy birthday.
Thank you.
It's you're edging closer to
The big
the big 5-0 now.
fuck me. That's the weirdest thing ever, because when I had, before it was my birthday one week, I was driving down the road and I was like, how old am I going to be? And I had to go back to the year I was born and work forward and go, how old am I going to be? Because I get to that point, I'm like, I don't remember really what age, because it's weird, but you don't really feel any different.
So there are some years where I just forget. It's weird.
I had it
but
this
you
year.
forget.
I've done it before and actually said someone had given them like 2 years before birthday.
I think it's when you're an odd year. Like I'm 45 currently, but I'll be 46 in a few months.
I'm 47.
So 45 is easy to remember because it's like an even, well, not an even number, but it's a solid number. Do you know what I mean? But it's 47 or 48 or 32 or something. It's hard to. You kind of forget, don't you, really?
Numbers, not very good. I watched this thing the other day where this dude was just stopping people in the street, families with a microphone, and just asking questions. And he'd throw the dad a curveball. It was brilliant. What's the date of birth for your child there? And they'd be like, and then one of them was like, how old's your kid there? And he's like, I don't know. She's like, really? You don't know how old I am? You know, it's just like, we're men.
I do panic when I have to phone the doctor's surgery about my children, and they're like, and what's the date of birth? And I'm like,
I've got them all on my phone. I've got all the dates of birth on my phone because I had to, just to make sure, because I was thrown out of times. Worst one is when you turn up at school and they're like, they didn't take the lunchbox, I'm just bringing up, here's a lunchbox and reception. And they're like, okay, what class are you in? And you're like, I don't know, maybe it's dolphins? I don't know, I'm not sure. It's just,
I thought you were going to say Dolph Lundgren then.
no, dolphin. I don't think they had like the classes set into Sylvester Stallone, Jean-Claude Van Damme. You're in Dolph Lundgren's class, and you're in.
I was thinking more along the lines of Kindergarten Cop 2 with Dolph Lundgren, where he's. I don't know if you've seen that. But,
I have not seen that. I didn't. I don't know if I knew that existed.
It does exist, my friend. And Dolph.
Why is he there though?
Because this time around he is an undercover cop. Okay. So it's the same story, just with Dolph Lundgren. Well,
I'm going to use that as a really good segue to something I've been watching, and I've literally got 20 minutes left of the season to finish, and I was a bit like, oh no, I've got a podcast. No, I love podcasting. But I was just at the last bit, and it's The King of Tulsa with Sylvester Stallone. Have you heard of this?
I've heard of it.
It's
I didn't know
great.
he was in it.
It's so good. It's about him. He comes out of prison after 25 years. A gangster.
Yes.
He's kept quiet, goes back to the people. The guy who he's involved with is on his deathbed, and his son's kind of taking charge of people. And they're like, you can have Tulsa. He's like, fuck's in Tulsa? You can have that. And he's like, I kept quiet for 25 years. Just go to Tulsa and make it your own. And he goes down there and just starts getting into the town down there. It's really pretty good. It's kind of Breaking Bad-ish kind of feel to it. But with Sylvester Stallone as the main guy. There's one bit that's really funny. Like he picks up a lady and he sleeps with her, and afterwards they're just hanging out in the bed, and she's like, "How old are you?" And he's like, I was in junior high when JFK got shot. And she's like, "What the fuck?" And he's like, "I'm 75." She's like, "75? I thought you were like maybe early 50s. What the fuck?" And she stands up, gets her clothes and walks out.
Oh God.
So it's kind of playing down the whole, like, you know, he's getting on a bit, but he's still like, he's for 75. Like my dad's late 80s.
I don't think he's that old, is he?
No, my dad's like mid 80s.
Dolph Lundgren.
I thought Sly was probably 75. I think it was. I would say
You're talking about. Sorry, you're talking about Sly. We were talking about Dolph Lundgren.
I'm on about Sly Stallone. It's a good segue to Sylvester Stallone.
No, that's fine. Sorry, I was confused.
No, Sylvester Stallone, 75. No, Dolph Lundgren. I'm not going to.
Lundgren 66.
No offence, Dolph Lundgren. Probably.
Stallone is actually 77 now. You know.
Oh well, he probably was 75 when they filmed the show.
Bloody hell.
But he's great in it. Like, he doesn't come across as 75. Like, my dad's doing pretty good, and he's in his he's probably like 10 years older than Sylvester Stallone. But like, Sylvester Stallone is fucking a brick shit out. I wouldn't fucking get away with his fists.
I always say this to my dad because my dad moans about getting old. My dad's 69 this year, and I always say to him,
"That's not old. I don't know what he's on about."
Well, whenever a Jackie Chan film comes out, he's 1 year older than my dad.
Right.
And I always send him the trailer and go, "Here, look, Dad, look what he's up to." And he's 1 year older than you, so come on.
Yeah, stop moaning.
He's flipping over cars and beating people up.
Do some yoga, Dad. You'll be all right.
He goes for a walk every day.
Have you been watching anything?
Well, there's two things I've been one thing I've watched and another thing I'm in the middle of watching. I'm in the middle of I think I mentioned this on the last episode. Our buddy RJ inspired me to go back and watch the Creepshow series on Prime.
Yeah.
So I'm still watching those. The beauty of them is they're 40 minutes each, and each one is got two stories. So I usually watch like one story before I go to bed. So I'm doing like a 20 minutes here and a 20 minute there. So it's taking me a long time to get through them because there's about 10 episodes per season, and there's 4 seasons now. But I'm really enjoying them. And this time around, I'm noticing a lot more Easter eggs. Obviously, they've got lots of people in them from horror, but even stuff like a guy put something in the fridge and there was a pot of the stuff in the fridge, or someone's drinking a whiskey called RJ McCready's whiskey, and all these kind of things. So I'm really enjoying them, and actually they're very well produced, and they really make me feel like Halloween when I watch them, even though it's like January. So I'm watching that. But the thing I did watch, and I was very excited, and this isn't horror, well, it might be in some ways, is the new He-Man series, which came out. Because Kevin Smith, 2 years ago, Kevin Smith wrote and produced, or co-wrote and produced, a new He-Man series for Netflix called He-Man Masters of the Universe Revelations, which kind of takes place 45 years after the cartoon in the 80s. Obviously, it's updated to be a bit more modern. It's a little bit anime. There's a lot of beheadings. It's probably not for children, I would say. And
Elijah like it.
It's really good. But the new one came out, which is called Masters of the Universe Revolution, which follows on from that, and that was even better. And they've put in so many Easter eggs, from all the comics. Even the movie Gwildor from the movie was in it. It's just really good fun. And
I'm gonna watch that movie again with
Sarah. Mark Hamill does Skeletor's voice, and
Captain Kirk, isn't it?
Captain Kirk's in it as well. I won't spoil who he plays in it, and it's just got really good voice cast and a lot of fun. And I binged it all in one night 'cause it's 5 episodes, and it came out and I thought, it's quite late. I think I watched it after Sorcerer. I thought, it's quite late, but I can't not watch one episode of my new He-Man show. And then I ended up staying up till like 1 a.m. watching them all. But that was great.
I did start watching Elijah, but his attention span wanes. You can only do that half an hour at a time until he has to have a bit of tablet again. It's like a drug. Anyway, you'll find out when your kids get older. It's fucking annoying. Anyway, we started watching Dungeons and Dragons movie. Not bad.
I've heard very good things.
Not bad at all. Quite enjoyable, actually.
Yeah. I like the cast, and I know it's nothing to do with the cartoon, but
yeah, but you still got like the characters from the cartoon. Like, so it
I know
kind
they're
of
in
makes
the
you feel
background
like
somewhere.
it. No. Like, well, there's the girl with like a hood. There's like a magician. There's everybody. It's right. As I remember, I don't know. I might be wrong. It reminded me of the program as a kid.
They're based on the board game characters, not the cartoon characters.
I didn't know. I wasn't sure.
But I've still heard good things about it, and I do want to check it out at some point.
Yeah, it's quite fun. We haven't finished it yet, though. That's quite good.
I haven't watched much else, but did you do anything fun for your birthday? Did you get any gifts that are you're allowed to talk about?
You mean like sexy gifts that I'm not allowed to talk about?
You wouldn't talk about those ones. But did you get anything nice? Did you do anything nice, or did you just
on a Friday? I was with the kids, so no, not really. We were gonna go out. I think
you went for dinner, didn't you?
We went for some food. I had a steak. That was quite nice, I've got to say. Went for some meal with those kids, but the kids didn't really hang out with me much. They just did their own thing as normal. So it's pretty much, had some food with them, and that's it. Yeah, it was all right. Bits and bobs. Sarah gave me some little bits and bobs. Got another present coming from her, which got lost in the post. I'm going to get that soon, which is quite good. She did give me the 3rd series of Bottom, which I didn't have on DVD.
Nice. For anyone that doesn't know, that's a British, a very early 90s TV show.
Great show. Watched it
with Rick Mayall.
Yeah, watch it a lot with Sarah, actually, and I was like, I don't have series 3, and I like to occasionally put on some of the old school BBC comic episodes. So I'd like to have them on DVD at hand. Like The Only Fools and Horses, One Foot in the Grave, etc.
I have not watched Bottom for many years.
Very funny. Very, very, very funny.
I should imagine still holds up well because it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, it's good. Nothing much really.
Well,
I'm getting older now. Like, just don't really get,
You have one announcement to make.
Which is
as
my
it's your
birthday
birthday
gift for
episode.
everybody else. Yeah.
So go on then, hit everybody with it. It's fantastic, exciting news.
I am going to be the first man to have a baby. It's been that's not the news. That's not the news.
Imagine that, Junior 2, starring me and you. I'm Danny DeVito.
Do we want
and you're Arnold.
deformed Gavi running around? I'm sure it's
Why
been deformed.
why would it be deformed?
Because I'm a bloke having a baby. It's a bit weird, isn't it? It's got to be something wrong with it.
Fucking hell. It'd be like that
Knobs
creature
on
that
its
lives in
neck or something. I don't know.
be like that creature that lives in the Funhouse. You know that movie, The Funhouse?
I love
It'd be like him.
Toby Hooper's Funhouse. I like that movie. That's good.
Yeah.
Deadbolt Films, along with Deadbolt Comics, we've actually had to make sort of an umbrella company. We've made Deadbolt Media Limited. It's legitimately a proper business now, a proper company, and we have to pay taxes, and we have a bank account. We all have a debit card, and I have shares in the company. So weirdly, I've thought over the years formed a legit company. Very strange.
It's weird, isn't it? It's taken just over a decade, but here we are.
But that's because I wasn't ever going to do any business stuff, because a lot of it was sort of me going along. I'm Deadbolt Films, and I'm not doing nothing business. I'll show you stuff put in front of your eyes, and you can hear stuff. But so then other people have come on board slowly over the years, and then got business people who come on board, and I own 1/4 of shares of Deadbolt Films along with other people, so because it's a legit thing now. It's cool. Yeah, we're saying that we do need a premises, so that would be really good. But we need to be having a fluid income for us to be able to rent out something like that. So I don't know, but we do need space. We're running out of space. We can only use Ben's tattoo studio and for so much. If it's Dodge Challenger wanting the fucking garage getting sorted, it'd be alright. We could put store stuff in there. But yeah, we need a place. We need a place where we can film, have cameras set up and shit. It's just, it's hard.
Yeah. And one last thing then to mention is, as we went to record, a couple of hours before we recorded, a new trailer dropped for Ghostbusters Frozen Empire.
Really good.
The new movie coming out in March, which I really loved Afterlife. I know you did too, Gav. And already the fans are online going, there's too many references to the originals. But fuck you lot.
I don't read anything, so
yeah,
I don't care.
wouldn't. But it looks great. By now you may have watched it, and it's a trailer, so it's no spoiler. But they now show you that Walter Peck is in it again, and we knew that Janine is going to be suited up with a proton pack.
Bill Murray seems happy in his delivery of his lines. He seems happy to be there.
He is having a good time. There's a great line where that big creature comes towards him and he goes, "Tall, dark and horny at 12 o'clock."
Yeah,
and
he seems a little bit of the old self.
Even when he sees Janine in the suit with the proton pack, he goes, "Whoa, Melnitz in the suit." And it's like, you're like Venkman again. This is great.
I'm imagining that when they did that first, the last one, I reckon they probably, because it was Ivan Reitman's son, Jason, I reckon it's probably like, it probably felt back to his original roots and stuff a little bit, and
well,
just
he's
felt
there
a bit like, yeah, we're
and he's
buddies,
there with Dan. He's back with Dan Aykroyd and Ernie Hudson, and Annie Potts, who plays Janine, and
you can imagine.
I think Sigourney's going to be in this one, from what I hear. I haven't seen anything yet, but I've got a feeling Sigourney Weaver's in this one a bit more this time as well.
Isn't it a really weird thing? It's like a cultural movement. Is this movie called Ghostbusters? It's like my kids know it. Everyone knows the music. It's like a song. It's like a bit of a God's thing. It's a bit of a weird thing. We have these things sometimes, and it will always stay with us. Everyone will know it. But I imagine, come the 90s, when horror movies died out again before Scream managed to bring them back again. I imagine it must have been like Bill Murray now and all those guys probably like, well, yeah, it was in the 80s did Ghostbusters, but who gives a shit about it? And the technology of the 90s, the effects is just whack, and they'd probably never ever thought of they'd be coming back to do Yeah. Years later.
And it looks like from the trailer
The
that there's some
effects look great.
practical effect. Obviously, there's a lot of
It
CGI,
kind of feels like the original, because the original had all right effects.
really good practical effects. And some of those practical effects might have been then projected onto whatever, but because it was a live puppet that they originally filmed and then projected onto in the scene, it felt really tactile. And Slimer's in the trailer at the end, and that looks great. He kind of bursts out and he's real, you know. He touches all the objects in the room and he slimes the kid.
I'll be there with, if I don't get to see it with you in a cinema, I will be seeing it with my kids, or both, to be honest.
Yeah, it looks like a double, at least 2 viewings for me at the cinema. The other thing that I really like, I love Paul Rudd, and everyone loves Paul Rudd, but I really loved, there's just that one scene, and it's stupid really, but where he says to her, if there's something strange, if there's something weird, who are you going to call? And she looks at me and goes, look, busting makes me feel good, okay? And it just, saying the lyrics shouldn't work, but because it's Paul Rudd saying it, it just works. So yeah,
I'm glad
Ghostbusters.
I'm glad it's him, because he's a very likeable person. It'd be bad if it had been someone else and lukewarm. But
let
Paul
me
Rudd's
tell
good.
you. Let me tell you why I think it feels like the original. And why the original is slightly different from Ghostbusters 2, which we both love. But I think the reason is very first Ghostbusters movie was actually a bit of a gateway horror for a lot of people, and it's actually quite scary at times, depending on what age you saw it at. And there felt like there was some real stakes. People could get killed off, and it feels like in this one, there's like, because there's obviously like a frozen something or other coming to New York, freezing and killing people are dying in it. So it feels like something big and bad is actually happening. And I don't know. To me, it's not just going to be a comedy like that. Ghostbusters, I don't know what the girl one is called really. It's just 2016. Oh, no, the one before that. That one was too much of a comedy. I think they forgot that Ghostbusters actually got to be a little bit scary, and the last one had some good scary stuff in it. I think
that's because the person who was helming it didn't. Unfortunately, because again, literally don't give a shit if there's females in it. That'd be great if it had the right person. Jason Reitman possibly helming it. It would have probably had a different direction and probably come across a movie like, yeah, it's not bad. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It was just they were playing it at a complete wrong audience and wrong tone to it. Yeah.
I've not gone back and watched that movie since we saw it at the cinema.
No.
I probably would. It was on Netflix for a while, but
we're getting older. We could die.
Yeah, I'd rather watch the new one.
It's when you got like a time to spare. That's why you spend so long trying to find a movie, because like, I don't want to waste this precious time to watch a movie. I need to watch a good movie. And it's like, do I want to go back to that Girly Ghostbusters one? Nothing wrong with it being Girly Ghostbusters. I'm just calling that because I don't know what it's called.
I think
it
seems to have been renamed to Ghostbusters Answer the Call.
Okay.
But I've seen that a lot of times. But I really loved Afterlife, so I'm really looking forward to Frozen Empire. And none of you guys have watched the trailer yet, there's the new official and probably the final trailer dropped today. So go check that out on YouTube or wherever you watch your trailers, and it'll get you hyped. It doesn't really give anything away other than Walter Peck's in it, probably only for that scene, and Slimer's in it, great. And I really liked the idea about the traps being on a drone. I thought that's really clever.
To get more hype with them, have the trap on the drone so it goes even higher, rather than just the trap's beam itself. Take the trap higher and then do it. Excellent idea. That's what I thought. I love the fact that I like the hope that that's almost an analogy of the way that they're making this old movie in a new way, and it works seamlessly.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, there we go. So that's Ghostbusters Frozen Empire coming out in March. We are very excited for that. We don't often sort of talk about new trailers and stuff, but there we go.
I did with Sarah recently. I took out on another fucking subscription. I've got fucking so many subscriptions. They're coming out my arse at the moment.
God, what have you got now?
Well, I did Paramount with for my mum and that, and that's why I've been watching some of these other programs. But I've also got Arrow.
Oh yeah.
Because
I had Arrow briefly. I had it for a few months.
Yeah, it's again, it's kind of like Shudder, UK Shudder. I heard US Shudder's supposed to be loads better. It's kind of like UK Shudder. You can kind of watch them all in probably a few weeks and go, that's kind of all I'm interested in. Arrow, there's some good movies, but we've been having a bit of a Giallo kick.
Yes,
and
I've
we were
watched.
going to rent
I've seen
them
that.
out, and it was like, well, it's $2.50 rent now. We'll probably watch one tomorrow night, and it's like a $5 for an Arrow monthly subscription. Well, I may as well just have a subscription and bang out a few more. So we've been watching a few Giallos. That's been quite nice.
Yeah, I've been seeing that. Some of them you haven't seen by the looks of it as well. From what you were saying.
Quite a few, because Sarah said, I really fancy sort of watching them, and I was like, I was mad for these. Quite a few years ago, I was fucking well into it. I said, I even wrote a script for a short one. Really into it. So we've been doing that. That's been quite fun.
It's worth doing these little subscriptions like that. I did that.
Just
I did that
things,
in November. I took out 2 or 3 subscriptions because I knew that I was going to be wanting to catch up on loads of Christmas and Christmas horror. In fact, I did it in October. That's right, because there was quite a few movies I wanted to watch for October, werewolf movies, and I kept those subscriptions because a lot of them were like free for a month or free for 60 days. I forgot to cancel a couple of them, so I ended up keeping some of them for 2 or 3 months. But it was really good, and then I've cancelled them off. And you've paid, like you said, you paid a $5.
That's it. At the end of the day, I used to go down to the video shop. Even back in the day, going to the video shop, you're still paying like £3 for a video for the night.
And that's why I don't object to renting on Prime, because if something's on Prime and it's £2 or £3 to rent or £4 to buy, like we've talked about before, we'll just buy it if it's something we like with Flash Gordon. But for me, spending £2 or £3 to rent a film and see it good quality,
there is that.
Not have to track down a crappy copy, or I don't have it on DVD or whatever it is. Or sometimes, because some of my DVDs are put away, in the cupboard under the stairs, and I can't get to them so easily. So it's just sometimes easier for me to just rent for £2 or £3 or something. And yeah, I really like that, and it feels like I'm still putting something back in the pot of Hollywood, in the moneymakers pot.
I also think for our lovely patrons who are so kindly still patronising us.
Don't patronise me.
That helps us be able to rent these films. And
100%. We've said that,
especially
before,
for the reviews. It's always good to be able to rent like good copies. So that's what we do.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Well, should we get into the reviews?
Yeah, I'm happy to get into this because we can get into this first movie.
Let me get my rock. My head rocking thing.
Okay.
Needs more cowbell.
Okay, this time count it off like odd numbers. 1, 3, 5,
Can we
7.
try 5, 6, 7, 8, 5, 6,
like a
7,
fucking
8?
dancer, like a dance group. Yeah, it's great. Anyway, Studio 666.
666.
Check out this trailer.
Oh.
Foo Fighters, you gotta get me a record.
It's our 10th album. We gotta break the mold on this one. Let's go somewhere we've never been.
This place is amazing.
Do you guys get this overwhelming sense of death? Whoa. Doesn't really seem like the right fit. Whoa, it's rad. That was weird. The sound of this house is the sound of album 10.
All right, you guys, amps, living room.
Let me apologize in advance for all the rock we're about to make.
Got a couple of ideas I've been working on. I'll lay them on you.
Dude, wait. It's called Everlong, and you wrote it about 20 years ago.
How you feeling? Everything okay?
Ever since we moved into this house, my mind is flooded.
We all have writer's block.
This is not just a creepy rock and roll house. It allows spiritual entities to cross into our world.
Oh my God! Dude has got one flew over the cuckoo's nest crazy.
It's this place, man.
Let's finish the track.
Can't we just wait, dude?
Play the drums.
Found a new musical note?
Hell yes, I did.
It's an L.
Any chefs in the group?
I'm pretty handy on the grill.
Yeah, you like your meat charred and dry.
Keep
does make a killer barbecue.
What do we do?
We go save his ass.
Is the album almost done?
Yeah, it's killer.
Here you go, man. Finish the song.
You did.
Studio 6 from 2022, rated 18. Ooh, only for the big adults. 1 hour 46 minutes. Legendary rock band Foo Fighters. Is it not the Foo Fighters? It would be. All right. Foo Fighters.
I think it's just Foo Fighters.
Yeah. Move into Encino Mansion, steeped in grisly rock and roll history, to record their much anticipated 10th album. If you got that.
Okay. Sort of.
Legendary rock band Foo Fighters move into Encino Mansion, steeped in grisly rock and roll history, to record their much anticipated 10th album. Fairly easy. Foo Fighters move into a house to record an album. Random film?
Yes, my first watch.
And?
What the fuck? Like, what makes this film work is the weird elements that come in together. Like, they obviously, a lot of people will know this already, and you know this, they filmed this in secret during the pandemic.
Yeah.
You know, so out of nowhere, a film's coming out, a horror film with the Foo Fighters in it as themselves. That shouldn't work, but it works. And then what you realise is they're all massive fucking horror fans, and they've roped in John Carpenter for a cameo and to write some of the music, and it's really funny and really gory, not necessarily scary for me anyway, but
it's interesting because directed by
the BJ
McDonald, who the only other thing he's directed is Hatchet 3.
Oh, goodness gracious me.
I think. Oh, God, if I'm wrong, I feel terrible. I'll just quickly check that out.
Yeah, but for me, what made it work is that the fact that it shouldn't work, because it's crazy, really. But I'll have a little bit of a...
he made the Slayer movie.
Ah, okay, right.
But again, that's not really. That's it, really. Sort of Hatchet 3 is the first he directed in 2013. Then did the Slayer movie, which Sarah says is really cool. Again, a horror movie by Slayer.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, my little what tangent, not even tangent, 'cause it's related, that I want to just mention is horror movies and rock or metal, heavy metal, go together hand in hand, and always have because because they are both punk, they're both pushing the boundaries of what is socially acceptable. Kids gravitate towards metal like they gravitate towards horror, and they even share snakes and demons and skull motifs. We've covered Trick or Treat, and there are dozens, if you want to go and find them, of heavy metal, rock and roll, whatever you want to call it, horror films. Some really good ones. There's Rock and Roll Nightmare, and there's a bunch of them out there, and they usually work very well because of that reason I've just given, because they are the same beast, if you pardon the pun. Kids gravitate towards them. They're pushing the boundaries of what's socially acceptable. They're trying to be loud and noisy and provocative, both the music and the type of film. And I think that is the glue that brings this together. The fact that Dave Grohl and his buddies genuinely obviously have some kind of knowledge and love of horror films, and I didn't know any of that, which completely surprised me, because I love the Foo Fighters, but I don't really know an awful lot about them individually. So this just completely, like, when you said you wanted to watch it for this episode, I was like, great, because I've never seen it. Wow, it was just brilliant and funny, really funny as well.
It's very well handled. One thing of metal and horror, it's the same with skateboarders, hip hop, but metal and horror. It's the fans. It's being into something which isn't the norm. Metal isn't the norm. Horror movies aren't the norm. Skateboarding's not the norm. Hip hop's not the norm. And when I say hip hop, I mean like the graffiti side of it, all the other elements as well. It's not the norm, and it's those fans who know that they are, as we all are as horror fans, and that's why we're here listening. That's why all you are listening. We're all like a little community, and we all love each other. It's because we're outsiders looking in, but we're looking in through a broken, dirty window, and we like it.
Well, and let's be honest, we all got into, whether it's metal or skateboarding or horror, we got into that usually at an age probably too young, and because we knew we shouldn't, but also because we knew it'd piss off our parents, and then you end up falling in love with that genre.
I know what you mean. I didn't have that. I just fucking loved skateboarding.
But a lot, my parents would have been a bit cross if they'd have known I'd watched some of the horror movies I watched at a very young age, and I used to hide my rap tapes from them because I didn't want them hearing all the stuff that was being said on the NWA album, etc., etc. So there was like an element of, I'm doing this to push back at my parents, but then you end up falling in love with the thing that it is that you're, you know what I mean, and that's why they go so well together, and that's definitely the glue that holds this together. I had a blast watching this.
Oh yeah, it was really good. I'm glad. I was tied in my room once, many moons ago, and I was playing The Doors. So it's not hip hop. You're saying about hiding words. My mum would hear Jim Morrison say, "Show me the way to the next little girl. Oh, don't ask me why." It's one of his songs which she repeats lots of times. My mum's like, "What? What's he saying?"
Yeah, I used to get really told off by my mum because she once heard the Wu-Tang Clan playing when I think I must have been about 14 or 15 when I bought that, and I was playing it really, really loud. And that was, I think the first song on the album is called "Bring the Motherfucking Ruckus," and the RZA repeats "Bring the motherfucking ruckus, bring the motherfucking ruckus" about 20 times before they start dropping N-bombs and F-bombs all the way through it. And I was like a 14-year-old Dan, like, this is what it's all about. And my mum later on said to me, "What was that nonsense you were listening to?"
Do you know what the equivalent is for me now? I know, sorry guys, we'll get back to Studio 66 in a minute. The equivalent for me now is when I walk into Daisy's room and I knock on it, and she's listening to a song which is "My big ass gonna get me some dick," and blah, 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 and all this like, what the fuck is this shit? And I'm like, what the hell? But I'm just like, I just look at her and she laughs, and I turn around and walk out. It's like, whatever. Like, I'm not going to try and hide someone from the internet. Not going to happen. Fucking alright. As long as you're safe. As long as you're safe and happy and you find it funny. I just look at her with a shock of eyes, go, wow, and just turn around and walk out because I'm like, whatever.
I know, nothing really shocks me, but what shocks me is these songs seem to be aimed at younger and younger people, like that WAP song, that wet-ass pussy song. It's like, wow, fucking hell, man.
It's weird.
I was listening to Little Kim back in the day when she was rapping about her pussy.
Yeah, it's weird though, isn't it?
Fucking hell, it's in the charts now. Yeah. Imagine going up to somebody saying, "Have you heard that WAP song?" They're like, "Oh yes, it's okay." Do you know what WAP stands for? And telling an older person what it stands for, they'd be like, "What?"
It's a very well lubricated vagina.
Very well. You need a bucket and a mop, apparently.
Extremely well.
Her lyrics are, "You're going to bring a bucket and a mop."
Would that be the British version of the song? Extremely well lubricated vagina. EWLV.
No, it'd probably be sopping minge.
Sopping minge.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, I'm really sorry. We've already gone down the wrong way.
I've never said that, sang those words in that way before either. So it's the first one. It's my birthday. Studio 666. Well, what it came down to is Dave Grohl was basically had a phone call from a buddy of his, and it just come out of a meeting, and in the meeting they said, "We'd love to make it." I'm sounding like Jeff, who's like in Curb Your Enthusiasm, who's their manager.
Jeff Garland,
yeah. "I'd love to make a horror movie with the Foo Fighters," and Dave Grohl said, "That's the most ridiculous idea I've ever heard," and ignored the fact and forgot about it. when he was coming to record his 10th album, the Foo Fighters 10th album, he was trying to find a house, and all of a sudden he's just like, oh, this house like horror movie, and all these things started clicking. Now I've discovered Dave Grohl's a bit like me. He's like, holidays, I don't do holidays, I can't do holidays, it drives me insane. I need to be making stuff. So him in lockdown, I imagine, like me, I made a little miniature house. I didn't make a whole movie with everyone else, but they went and pulled this off, and it's a perfect time, I guess, because he's like, I want to be working, I can't be working. So they went and made this film. It's just out of nowhere. He started coming up with the ideas just from, like I said, recording their 10th album. So the stories, but 10th album, you write what you know. That's the best way of doing films, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of the Foo Fighters myself. Not really into it. A couple of songs okay. I find it a bit poppy for my liking, not so much. When it first came around, I was like, fuck that. I'm a Nirvana fan. The drummer can't fucking go and do that. And I ignored it, and I was well into my hip hop, and I can't do it. And then I was like, Foo Fighters, stupid name. Pooh Fighters, and I just ignored it, to be honest with you. And they've got a couple of good riffs. Like Dave Grohl's an extraordinarily good musician.
Yeah, he's
and frontman.
He's an annoyingly talented man.
And a genuine, all right human being. It seems.
Yeah, I was going to say he's very nice, charismatic.
The rest
funny.
of the band from this movie seem like nice human beings. Rest in peace, Taylor Hawkins.
He can actually act. He can play the drums. Obviously, he can play the guitar, and yeah, it's a bit annoying. And then my wife fancies him as well.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Yeah.
So it's like, for fuck's
I don't know
sake.
if Sarah does. I don't have to ask her if she's into him or not. I don't know.
But I think she fancies what he stands for, which is he's just fucking talented, you know.
Yeah, I like Dave Grohl. Like I can imagine I could get along with that dude. I'd shoot the shit with him.
And he's friends with Rick Astley, so you can't really say much more than that. Really,
I saw Rick Astley singing a song of theirs with them.
Yeah, Never Gonna Give You Up.
Strange. Anyway, this movie is extremely well produced.
Yeah.
It's made with horror-loving eyes. It is produced with horror fans. It's in mind. It's really good.
Littered with Easter eggs and references.
John Carpenter plays a role in it. Anyone else got any movies? Anyone else got their hands up to show me what movie John Carpenter's acting in, like recently, or if he ever has? He did the Doctor in the Stories. You know, the one with the petrol station and wasn't
Cigarette Burns.
No. We covered it. Body Bags.
Oh, Body Bags, yes.
Wasn't he the Doctor or something in it? In between,
he was somewhere in that.
That I don't think of John Carpenter as an actor in this.
But he doesn't come out of his cupboard very often. You see?
No, he's playing computer games, getting stoned, sitting on royalties. He comes across great as perfectly cast, and I'm going Dave Grohl probably going, maybe you could get John Carpenter to do it as a music producer, and I loved it. He's the main music producer with an engineer.
Yeah, well, they're both engineers. The guy next to him,
he's a producer.
They've cast a guy with one eye next to him who's got like a patch on his eye, and I'm like, did they cast him because he's fucking Snake Plissken looking guy? Because that guy, if you look at his IMDb, he has got like.
Yeah, there's a reason. Yeah, okay, he has got.
He has got like a problem with his eye, but he also has the Snake Plissken mullet.
Jason Trost. He does have. He actually does have that.
I think he's got one eye, but it's fucking great that they cast him next to a guy who looked a bit like Snake Plissken as well, just to really add to the fan boner.
I do like it with movies with people who get acting roles for their certain things aren't normal, you know, like I've got one eye, you know, don't see that very often. Good for them. Yeah, really good film. So should we get into it?
Yeah, let's get into it. So
when I say well produced, I'm going score is really good. This is Dave Grohl again. This is what I understand. Oh, he must be ADHD as well. So I understand his mind and like have to make. You can listen to Dream Window on Spotify. Do you know what Dream Window is?
No.
Dream Window is the band.
Oh, Dream Widow.
Widow.
I know Dream Widow.
Sorry,
yeah.
I thought it was Window.
No, Widow.
Are you
the band that dies at the beginning of this movie?
Oh, okay, all right. Anyway, he went and made that whole album.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's on Spotify, and you can listen to so he is like, oh, there's a fake band in there. Okay, they made a song, so they made that song, which is a really cool song. That I'll just go and make 9 other songs of this fake album. And the album's pretty decent, and I've listened to it quite a few times. It's actually pretty good. Some good riffs in it.
Before we do get into it, one last thing I will say is this movie would pair well with I never remember the name of that Rob Zombie movie.
House of?
No. The one where they get the vinyl record and they
Lords of Salem.
Lords of Salem, because they're both about sort of music having control in a demonic way over people, and this feels like the more lighter comedy version of that, but still quite heavy at times and very violent.
Yeah, it's great gore.
So I think it would pair well with that. Well, that is one thing I would say.
I'll tell you another thing. Back in the sort of mid-'80s, there was a thing with like Blood Tracks as one that throws to mind straight away. There's a lot of heavy metal movies, horror movies, where it's heavy metal bands in the horror movies going out to make their music video in the middle of the snow. That's the basic premise of Blood Tracks.
Yeah, that's right.
And then they get like an Evil Dead type... not if the fucking the Hillbillies, Hills Have Eyes type, type family invade them, that sort of thing. But there was this not a gluttony, but there's a lot of heavy metal bands and horror movies as a thing. And this movie feels like an 80s movie. I love the single location. I love all the characters in it, and yeah, it feels like an 80s film all the way through. Very much, almost like an Italian film, almost with the setting of the location of the villa. But not. I don't know. I feel very homely with this film. If it was on DVD, I'd probably have it in my studio. I don't know if it is.
I'll go back and watch this 100%. So yeah, let's get things off. So we start back in 1993 at the mansion, the Encino mansion, and we see little snippets of weird stuff going on, a tape-to-tape reel. We hear a woman screaming and crying, and we see her crawling along the ground with a bone sticking out of her leg. She's in a bad way.
So you get the camera starts up, we don't know what's going on. It's just sort of looking at stuff that slowly pans along the floor to a woman who is also on the floor being dragged off.
Yeah, and then a man with a hammer steps in and
takes her out.
Well, he doesn't just take her out; he beats her head probably about 7 or 8 times with this hammer. So straight away, you're like, "Oh, we're starting off with some head trauma." Okay.
Mate, if you didn't really know what's going on here, you think, "No, is this a slasher?" Yeah.
Well, it looks like that.
It's more than demonic. Yeah. Story. We've got also another thing John Carpenter did in this. He scored he did the music for the opening.
Yeah, and he co-wrote most of the songs, didn't he?
Yeah. That mixed with the Foo Fighters fake band playing in it. It's really good. Really good soundtrack.
So we find out during the credits.
Do you like those credits?
Yeah, I do.
They're quite nice, that music. It is just kind of maybe go like, oh, I'm in good hands here, you know.
And it's revealed that this band called Dream Widow have been slaughtered in this mansion. And this is another thing with rock and roll and heavy metal. There's always these stories about terrible things or curses or people that, you know, Ozzy Osbourne biting the head off with a bat. There's always these demonic things that attach them. So that would have been like, you know, you can imagine a band slaughtered, you know, in the 90s or the 80s or something, and everyone like, oh, that's why that album's the best album ever, because it's the last one they made, you know. So, do you know what I mean? It's the kind of thing that would really happen. But yeah, so there we go. Then we cut to the present day, and we've got Jeff Garlin from Curb Your Enthusiasm. Is fucking great in this. I always love him and everything he's in.
I said I loved Curb Your Enthusiasm. Dave Grohl said after he'd acted with him, he said it felt like you had just done some scenes in Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's just weird.
And he's got the band in a room, the Foo Fighters, and they're discussing, you know, they're actually discussing movies. They're saying which is better, Dune, the original Dune movie with Sting, or Waterworld with Kevin Costner, and they're talking about those movies for some reason. I fucking love it. It feels real. It feels like the sort of conversations you have. You know, you got Dave Grohl going, "Did you not see that they've got gills behind their ears? That's the whole thing, man." And then obviously,
they're having a laugh. Jeff Garlin, their manager, what's his name in this? Jeremy. Oh, let's just call him Jeff. And he's just standing there going, looking at him, going, "You know what? what Sting does have? Or who's it? One of because they talk about something. He has an album. It's not what I have.
Yeah. He's saying to them, I want this 10th album. Where is it? Where the fuck is it,
this
Grohl?
album? Yeah.
And he goes, Dave Grohl was like, it's up here, man. It's in my head. It's in his head. It's in his head. It's in there, man.
And he says, don't worry. He says, did you just tell me not to worry? And he's like, yeah. And they're blatantly just getting like really fucking told off. And it's quite funny.
And the reason for this is their 10th album. This is a big one for them.
They want to do something different.
The studio makes
sense.
Want it to be a good one. But they say to him, look, the thing is, Jeff, we've recorded at all the good studios,
in the
Beatles studio, the Slayer. We've done them all. We want a new sound. We want somewhere that will really bring out a new something in us.
We want something which can make you blow your dick into your own mouth.
Taylor Hawkins. Now, Taylor Hawkins, rest in peace, what a funny guy. He never learned the script. He basically knew the script, but he didn't learn his lines, so he just ad-libbed pretty much everything whenever he's on the scene.
Well, Jeff obviously being used to Curb Your Enthusiasm goes with it, and he says like, "What, bro? Your own dick into your mouth? That's what you're telling me."
And then he's like, "What? Is that a good thing, or is it like what do you mean back in? Has it been there before?" And they really go down this tangent.
When you say back into his mouth, so it's been there before.
And these little tangents is just what make this film really. And he says to them in quite a sinister way, and we find out why. I've got the perfect place for you guys. So he calls his secretary Barb, and he says, Barb, I'm here with the boys, the Foo Fighters, and they're looking for somewhere new to record. Anything springs to mind? And she's like, yes, I think I've got the perfect place. And you're like, well, that's a bit weird.
Cut to
the mansion, arriving at the mansion in the van.
Oh, just before that, when they are back at the meet, cut back to just at the meet and the end of it. That's a really weird Pearl Jam reference. Now, I had to think about this and go into this, and I thought about it. I spent seconds of my life thinking about it in my head. Is it something they used to say? When he does it, when they decide that, they goes, Jeremy has spoken. And I was like, right. Is this something they used to do in Nirvana, just to take the kind of piss out of Pearl Jam a bit? When they'd agree on something, they'd say, Jeremy's spoken.
I don't know. They do that Pearl Jam High 10, don't they? So they all put their hands up in the air. And that's because the front cover of Pearl Jam's first album, which is called 10, is all of them put their hands together like that. So it must be a
loving reference then to them. But I'm sure Jeremy was about a kid that, does he commit suicide or blow people away at school or some shit, the story from the Pearl Jam song. So it's a bit of a weird one to say, Jeremy's spoken. Anyway, just thought I'd throw that in there because I used to be a grunger when I was 16 at school, showing my age.
Well, we arrive at the mansion and Barb, who is Jeff Garland's sort of secretary, she's kind of there. She will come back to check up on them and make sure they're delivering on this album. She shows them around the mansion, and Dave Grohl immediately, being the lead singer of the band, the front man, he starts picking up on what he calls, he's got a weird energy, man, and he's feeling these weird vibes. He even starts hearing like funny noises that the others don't hear initially. And this mansion it's like it's been waiting. And it's a great premise for a horror film. It's like this mansion has been waiting for the right creative mind to channel its evil intent into.
Any movies being made in lockdown secretly, you got to do isolation. You got to do one places. And for me, love that shit.
Yeah.
Dave starts clapping and goes, hear that, man? You hear the acoustics? And he's clapping away, which is also absolute shit, by the way. And this is actually Dave in the interview saying, I was doing that because any producer or engineer or whatever, they go into a room, they start clapping, it's a load of fucking shit. It makes no difference. He was saying, I was actually slightly disagreeing. It's the amount of reverberation. They're just listening to see how long reverb goes. So not to argue with Dave Grohl. He knows better than me, I'm sure. He gets paid more than me.
They are playing slightly cartoonish versions of themselves as well, aren't they? They're all being slightly more diva-ish than they would normally be. And just before that is what Barb does reveal to them. There's something we should probably tell you about this mansion. Have you heard of a band called Dream Widow? They all died in this mansion, blah, blah, blah. And, they're all like, well, cool, then we definitely have to make it, you know, that's cool. When she's saying that, we do get some flashbacks to more death that happened in the mansion as well. So we definitely know that some weird shit went down in this mansion. But they decide, let's move in, let's set up and move in.
I do like it. I do like the moved in montage with Krug.
Yeah, Krug is played by Slayer's lead guitarist.
Okay, and that's Chief Roadie.
And he's
telling everyone where to go.
He's like, Dave Grohl's like, can you move my drum pad slightly to the left?
He's saying that he's doing his drum tech for him. So he's sitting there and he's just got a snare and it's just bang. Every once in a while, just hitting the snare. No. Just move it a little bit more. And every time it happens, Krug's just shutting his eyes like, oh my God, how it feels. And you feel his pain, the snare cutting right through each time.
And he says, in the end, he says, yeah, whatever, Dave.
Then he says, listen, that's amazing. Well, yeah, whatever, Dave.
And then Dave Grohl does a drum solo, which is fucking awesome. And that's great.
Well, he just starts playing drums, and it's a really nice little break, actually. I was like, ooh, like that.
So they sit down, I think they're having a barbecue or a beer, and they say, right, here's what we do, guys. We're going to move in to record for 2 weeks, maybe 4, so maybe a month tops. And they're all like, oh, come on. And then one of them says, you tell my wife. And he says, all right, I'll tell your wife if you tell my wife. And then one of the other guys is like, well, who's going to tell my kids? So they're all like older men now, married with children.
Apart from one of them's just like, who's going to tell my gran? And then one of the other guy goes, remember the Hanukkah party with your grandma?
He says, I'll tell her she likes me.
And
he starts making horrible noises.
This is how well this film's made, though. When that happens, it's like these real close-ups on their faces and the overreaction. Like the dude, I don't know what his name is. He hasn't got a picture on IMDb, so I don't know which one it is. It's the one of the heart-shaped thing, chest wig.
Rami, yeah.
Rami, okay, yeah, and his shades and stuff, and he's all like, hey, I'm all sexy.
He's the sex machine of the band.
Yeah, it's quite funny, but he's just like, don't say that, and it's all these close-ups, and then you hear just like a fake party sex scene, you hear just like, oh yeah, you like that, grandma, like what had happened before, and they're both looking at it, and he's going, yeah, and the camera's going closer and cutting back and forth, going closer and closer into their faces. All of these little bits of the movie layers of this movie make this movie so great.
Yeah, because these characters are real people, you know, to an extent anyway. So just hearing all this really adds to the fact that there's already a chemistry between them all.
It's a really good shoot. I don't know what audience it's for, and I don't think they gave a fuck. I think it's like, let's make a movie because I'm bored and we've got nothing to do in fucking lockdown. So I don't know who they made this film for. Is it R-H? I don't know. I'm not sure.
I guess so. Especially with all the references.
Yeah.
So Dave starts noticing, again, more of this weird vibe, and we get a lot of what they call the Dutch camera angles.
Dutch angle, yeah.
I was going to say Dutch oven then, but it's not Dutch ovens.
That's farting under the mattress and putting your other half under.
Not under the mattress, fucking hell.
Under the duvet.
But that is obviously very reminiscent of Sam Raimi and Evil Dead. So we're getting like a bit of a vibe, and there is a huge in the third act. We've got a huge Evil Dead, set of references.
Yeah.
I mean, it's essentially this could be a spin-off of Evil Dead.
A random Evil Dead movie, yeah.
And then he's having his coffee or whatever, and he sees a Cropsey-style gardener with shears in the garden, and he says, "Oh, hey, you, stop that," because he's sort of making whooshing, whooshing, and they thought they were going to have a bit of isolation and privacy. So he runs outside to tell this guy off.
This is almost like going into sort of territory of Pieces with the gardener.
Yeah. Oh, it is, isn't it? That fucking gardener in Pieces. Jesus Christ.
I say that's on Arrow, so I might have to watch an HD copy of Pieces.
I want to do that at some point.
With Christopher George, yeah.
Yeah, it's a great movie. He goes out to tell off this gardener, and the gardener vanishes. Ooh.
There's no one there. He goes around the hedge, no one there. And it's like, oh, okay. Then the crew comes in to check out the wiring, looks under the desk.
First death scene.
Yeah, he looks on the desk and says, "Who the fuck's wired this shit up?" Goes up to it, and just before he does that, we see like the wires do some rewiring themselves by magic.
Like a black ghostly hand,
like sort of cloud,
moves him around,
and he gets fried.
Yeah, and I didn't expect this. Like, he gets fucking fried, man.
And there's such good effects on it
because it's all practical.
I love the fact that obviously they should leave. That should be over. But Dave's like, he hasn't been hooked yet by what he's, the record. He hasn't found it, but for whatever reason, he feels a bit like
well, the house is already
got getting into him.
Yeah, and so they go and he goes, don't touch the guy. Don't touch him. He's still probably alive.
Yeah.
And then he's like, he's dead. And he's like, right, that's it. We're all going home. And Dave's like, whoa, guys.
Yeah, it's later on the patio. He's been taken away. The body has, and they're like, well, Krug would love it. Krug loved this place, and Krug didn't love this place at all. But he says,
he says we got to do it for Krug.
So that's why Taylor goes, I suppose I could record a couple of drum riffs, because they're like, we can dedicate the album to him. It's like, okay, well, that's fair enough. Okay, we can record some drum licks here, and thinking like he set the drums up, so fair enough, I guess.
So they have a barbecue, one of many barbecues. All they tend to do in between
Dave Grohl says
recording is
looking around the house. He does say it's a really good a barbecue, and one of the guys says, you can't cook for shit, and he looks at him and says, fuck you. And I just like the humour in this.
And while he's barbecuing, he turns around and he sees Krug's head
in the barbecue. Yeah, kind of giving him a warning.
And he sort of falls back a little bit, and then he hears a noise, and he says,
"Is that gardener?" So he goes having a little look.
But then he says, maybe it's that. He says, maybe it's the fucking press, or someone's found out where we are. So he runs off. I love the fact that the rest of the band stay up on the balcony and just let him go off to investigate whatever it is. And they're all just like, none of them. They're so lazy. They're just watching him do all the work. So he goes off and he meets their neighbour Samantha, who lives in the mansion next door.
Yeah,
she's a bit of a MILF, isn't she, Gav?
She's a bit of a MILF indeed.
And she's like, "Oh my God, I love you guys!" And she just starts singing Foo Fighter songs to him, like screaming them.
The best, and they all just look going, "Oh my God!"
And it's quite comical because just every time you think she's stopped, she then does the next couple of lines.
Real bad. She's a comedian,
but then she stops. As she stops, the rest of the band go.
No, at this point, though, Rami's like, fuck yeah, I'm getting me some MILF action. So he runs down the street and goes, hey, sorry, I'm just going to let you know, I don't want to apologise for all the rock we're about to make. She's like, oh, it's all right. They flirt really bad. It's obvious. It's obvious. They're banging.
He's banging at her at some point. She admits later on she was a groupie, so, it's fine. It's all good.
So just as they're going, Dave sort of says, hey, by the way, is there like a gardener here or anything? And she's just like, no, Dave, the house has been empty for years, and slowly bobs down behind the
That's
fence.
Hilarious when she slowly...
and that's the tone of this film.
That reminds me, there's a joke in The Wedding Singer with Adam Sandler where the guy says he's losing his mind. And I'm reaping all the benefits. And then he slowly pulls the curtain across like a Vincent Price move. Shouldn't work in an Adam Sandler comedy, but it just works. And that's the same in this. Why does she slowly float back down behind the fence? It doesn't matter. It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah. This is kind of like that Bloodbath at the House of Death in tone.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, Dave has, though, he wants to do this album, but what's the problem? Writer's block.
He's feeling a little bit like he can't get it up, as it were, but in the musical world,
I love the fact he just goes and has like a dream where he's just sitting there playing Lionel Richie's "Hello, is it me you're looking for?"
And then Lionel Richie
just
walks in the room
and says, "That's my song."
He says, "Listen, motherfucker, that's my motherfucking song. No one plays that fucking song with me. I fucking love that song." No. Apparently, when he came on set, his lines didn't include any swearing. And Lionel Richie was like, I feel like I should just swear loads because no one really sees me swear. Because obviously Lionel Richie's a smooth, nice guy.
No, so when he does it, he doesn't do it like you say. He sort of says, hey Dave, I know we all sometimes have writer's block stuff, but that's my song. That's my fucking song. I fucking love that song. It's just the way he goes into it. It's my song.
They've got, not only have they got John Carpenter in this, they've also got Lionel Richie swearing in this. Wow.
Lionel Richie's a strange one because at one point he did a duet with Rob Zombie and it was Brick House.
What the fuck?
He did a Brick House, Rob Zombie. If you watch House of Thousand Corpses, there's a little bit where they play Brick House when they're in the basement, which Rob filmed in his own basement of his wife and Sig Haig doing some stuff, and that song plays. But they actually did a duet together.
Brilliant. I think my favourite bit of that scene, though, is...
So Lionel Richie's a good lad, that's what I'm saying.
I think my favourite bit of this scene, though, is not all the F-bombs or anything like that. It's when Dave Grohl sort of... Lionel Richie's walking out of the room and Dave Grohl says, "Okay, sorry." And he just looks over his shoulder at Dave and says, "Nerd." Lionel Richie's calling you a nerd. Like,
Get your own nerd.
So, yeah, he's struggling. And then at night time, Krug's demon
body just floats down.
Visit
it's so
Dave.
good, I know.
It looks really good. The red glowing eyes, it's simple. It's not trying to be too elaborate, and it's just keeping it nice and straightforward. And he says to Dave, "They are watching you," and you're like, "What? Who? What the fuck? Who's watching him?" Really creepy glowing eyes. And then when you think that's over, it's kind of an American Werewolf double nightmare, because suddenly he kind of wakes up, and then all these other demons come in and surround him and start clawing at him. Then they disembowel him, rip all his guts out.
It's a very American Werewolf in London type sort of thing going on.
Exactly, the double nightmare. And they disembowel him. He wakes up and he orders takeaway from this poor takeaway guy.
It's have you seen the movie Strays?
With the dogs? Yes, a long time ago.
Oh, very, very funny. But that's the guy in it who's the main reason the dog wants to go back and bite his dick off. That's the delivery guy.
He's brilliant, because he obviously, as you would, the door opens and it's Dave Grohl. And he's like, "Oh my God, you're Dave Grohl." And he's like, "Yeah, did you get my food?" And he's like, "Yeah, I've got a demo. I'm in a band."
But what he says though, "You're my favourite second band after Coldplay."
Oh,
it's like, what the hell? And what is the demo of yours going to be like if Coldplay's your favourite band and Foo Fighters?
His band, later on we find out his band, I think, were they called Bone Fragments? Or
oh, shit.
Bone something. It's really good.
I'll try and find it.
I've got it written down when we get to that bit later on. But I thought that was a great name for a band.
Yeah. Bone Structure?
Yeah, Bone Structure.
Yeah.
Which I said to Alice would be a great name for a podcast if I went off and did one on my own. It'd just be called Bone Structure.
What's it about?
Movies, but I'm like taking them apart and looking at the structure of the movie, I don't know. I don't fucking know. No one's listening to it. It's not real. It doesn't exist.
No one's listening to us.
Second favourite band after Coldplay. So, because he's got such bad writer's block, he does what anyone with a block does. He goes on YouTube.
Hey, you're here today because you've got writer's block. Okay, we're going to start with this riff. Meow. That's one. Now two. Meow. Back to one. Meow.
What's really funny
it's funny seeing him standing there going like really invested, like, okay, well, he's playing it along.
What's brilliant, I think, is, and we may have gone past the scene where he says to the band, "I'm struggling."
No.
Is that coming up?
Yeah,
okay, we'll do that.
I know what you mean. It's so good.
Yeah, that's really funny. More weird noises and reflections. Then he starts hearing a dripping sound.
It's late at night, and Dave's having a look around the house, just wandering around. Yes.
Something's enticing him with this dripping sound.
This is why I like this movie. It's the sort of movie I'd quite happily get into bed at night time and go, "I'm going to watch Studio 666,
Even if you took the Foo Fighters out of this, it would still be
I'd still be super happy with it, yeah.
Yeah. So, he checks the tap. The tap isn't dripping, so where is this dripping sound coming from? And he follows the noise, and it leads him down outside and down into the basement. And obviously, in a basement, you never go in the basement, Gav. You never fucking go in the basement.
I had to go in the basement today. I worked around someone's house today, and they're like, "Oh, could you just do the downstairs bit?" And I was like, "Yeah, no worries." Went down to his basement downstairs, and there's a whole fucking music studio, this one room. There's lights everywhere, like I was in a fucking spaceship. I was like, the fuck's this? Oh, the guy, I make music plugins, which are basically on us in software. If you're playing a piano, you would want to put on a reverberation or an effect. That is a plugin. So he makes them and stuff. And I was like, "Oh, it's really cool." Anyway, I was in the basement earlier, so I went down to basement, and I'm here today, right now, unless I'm a demon, and it's not me.
Did you notice but going back to the delivery guy, did you notice the Exorcist reference as well?
I bet I'm terrible at that stuff. You know what I'm like.
It was just literally a split second. He stepped on the steps and looked up at the house. And it was the poster.
No. Yeah. No,
the poster
I did. Yeah,
it was great.
I forgot it was The Exorcist, but I did think to myself when they're doing it, if I'd been filming that myself, director, I'd been like, "Oh, just stop there, stand there. That looks great. Now look at the house. Excellent." But yes, Exorcist.
So he follows the dripping sound into the basement, and when he gets in there, he sees a bloody raccoon on the wall, and that's what the dripping is, blood dripping off of it. Then he sees a set of shears with blood all over them, and that was from the gardener that he saw earlier. And then he finds an old reel-to-reel with Dream Widow written on it.
Yeah, not Dream Window. I did make sure I wasn't wrong. I don't know why I thought Dream Window. Makes sense,
Are you thinking of Rear Window or Secret Window? You love a good window, don't you? You love peeping through them.
Do you know Dream Theatre?
I do know Dream Theatre, yeah.
Oh, okay, the crazy band, yeah.
Yeah. My sister's ex-wife, when we went to Download Festival, and her ex-wife's dad picked us up after 4 days of living in a horrible nutty tent. We were all really...
Did he play Dream Theatre?
On the way home, all the way home, and I was like, why are you playing this, man?
Oh my God.
I barely slept.
He was torturing you fuckers.
Horrible. Yeah, so he turns on the reel-to-reel, and it is like the Necronomicon. He's let in these sounds.
He's like, what the hell's this? Because he's interested. It's a nice reel-to-reel machine, so he gets it all wired up, gets a tape in there, presses play, kind of stands back, and just goes, comes on in here like a... Then all of a sudden you hear... Boom! This massive drony tone of guitars... laid up real fat, and he's just like, what the shit is this? Now he does in fact want to steal this though.
yeah
before he's told by the tape that he's going to finish it, he's just like, I'm fucking stealing this,
because he says this is the sound. He says this is the sound, this is what we want to do, you know. But so he starts rocking out to it for a while, and then the tapes fuck up and it starts playing backwards. Yeah. He winces, you know, we hear voices, and it seems like he's potentially getting possessed. He sees demons, and somebody says, "You must finish it." And that's the end of that scene.
Yeah.
So the next day he says to the band, right, I'm going to play this for you, and he plays it. So we have skipped past the bit I wanted to mention, which is where he has writer's block, and one of the days he's playing for the band, and he just starts playing all the riffs of all their old songs, and they're like, Dave, that's just this song, that's just that song, and it's like, yeah, sorry, I can't come up with it yet. It will come, don't worry, it will come. He's like, I've just been playing the same songs for so many fucking years. That's all I can think of.
That's funny, because I definitely said about that. No, he legitimately sits down with the band and says, okay, I got this. And they're like, yeah, you've done that already. It's like, oh, okay, how's this one?
They're like, Dave, you wrote that 20 years ago.
It's like, yeah, you've already written it. It's a good song, man, but you've already written it. It's like, oh, shit.
But he plays this new sound for the band.
Funny. Yeah.
They're really impressed.
They're just like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, what key is it in? And it's like, L sharp. It's like,
well, he says to them, but just before that, he says to them, I'm feeling this could be a double album, guys. And they're like, yeah. And then he's like,
even a triple?
Maybe a triple album. And they're like, okay.
Nobody wants triple albums. Even double albums a bit far-stretched.
But yeah, he says it's L sharp.
L sharp. And so Pat goes, you found a new musical note? And he's like, hell yeah. He says, so you mean it's like a E flat of 5 octaves up? And he's like, no, L sharp.
He says, so try and find. He's trying to guide them all to get and hit this note. Now, while that's happening, Samantha arrives, doesn't she?
I do want to talk very quickly about Pat.
I love Pat.
I watched this,
probably one of my favourites.
I watched this movie in the cinema, and my only issue was Pat's acting. When my first initial thought, but I was like, I can't remember the perfect word I had for him. But it was like sincere or something like that. I did like it in a way, though. This time I watched it around, I love Pat because his acting's so kind of odd. I really like it now. He's
a very enthusiastic, sweet guy. And because he's got grey hair and looks a bit older than the rest, I always say to Alice, whenever I see the foos play him, and even especially in this film, he looks just like someone's uncle that's tagging along with them all.
But it's like when the woman comes to say, where are they? Where's everybody else? Because he sleeps in the kitchen randomly, and he just goes...
He hasn't got a bed.
He's just like, shh, upstairs, and points upstairs. It's just, he's quite sweet.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's a really funny one. But anyway, Pat's the one that goes, you found a new musical note? So it's all that.
So Samantha, the neighbour, brings them some lemon slice cake that she's made.
Neighbour comes by with some cakes.
And she says to Dave, "How are you feeling, Dave?" Like she knows the history of this house. And then she says, "You know, Rami, there's something about this house." And again, there's more flirting between her and Rami going on there, and he calls him Romeo. He says, "Hey, Romeo, let's get back up there and record. Leave her alone." And he's like, "Damn it, stop cock blocking me, Dave Grohl." Anyway, 3 weeks later, so they've been in a house for 3 weeks now, and Dave is super tense with them all, being a real diva, and he's getting cross because they've done this song. They're writing this song, and they can't get to the end of the song. And they're all getting really annoyed with him and the length of the song, so they all go off to bed. And he wakes them all up, must be fucking annoying, in the middle of the night, goes round them all individually going, guys, I got a new idea. We got to go now. We got to record now.
I can imagine if they, if Dave Grohl is actually like that, I can imagine they're fairly used to it.
Like Rami's wanking to porn, and he's wearing Dave's pants. He's like, are those my pants? And he's like,
no,
yeah.
I think it was Taylor was wanking.
Oh, that's Taylor wanking, actually. Yeah, that's right. And then Pat's, this is where we find out Pat sleeps in the kitchen because he's the only one who hasn't got a bedroom, bless him. So he sleeps on a packet of toilet rolls as a pillow on the kitchen counter.
I can relate.
Comfortable. Bless him. So they all go and see what the fuck Dave's talking about. And Dave has made something, Gav, hasn't he? What's he made out of wood and knitting wool?
It's kind of like a pentagon type sort of shape. It's just like, I had to make this. I couldn't get it out of my head. It helps. It's the sound of the album. Like, what?
Yeah. Whenever a pentagram appears, you know something bad's going down. And the pentagram is that each nail represents each of the 6 band members. And each nail, he's taken the time to individually paint a little instrument on that so that they know. And he said, "This is us. We are the pentagram. We're the corners, and we all connect to each other. This is how the sound plays out."
This is also 3 weeks into the album because we had a 3 weeks later bit just before it, so they have recorded a majority of the album. But I love the fact that they're just like, right, okay, this song's like now like what 40 minutes or something at one point, and then so it has to have an ending. It's just like, what the fuck?
Well, it gets longer, doesn't it? It starts off with being 16 minutes, and it's like 28, 35, 42 minutes by the end of it.
That's such psychedelic 70s rock thing to do. Have a half an hour side of a record which is just one song.
When he's explaining this pentagram to them all at like 3 a.m, Pat says no.
Pat says no. He's just like, we start doing this now. Let's go record it. And Pat's like, no, I don't even. This is where I relate to Pat. He's like, no, I even have a bedroom. I can't sleep very well. Like, what the fuck? I just need to get some sleep. I could do it the next day. And Dave just takes it. And he's like, what the fuck? Pat zooms like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, he growls at him, doesn't he? He goes,
Dave Grohl would make a great werewolf because he pretty much almost does in this at times with like teeth at close-ups going,
but he goes,
all right, fuck it, I'll play then. For God's sake, you just shut the fuck up, I'll play. And basically.
So the next morning, the band have a secret meeting away from Dave to discuss his weird behaviour.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't know, man, he's acting really strange, you know. And then they see him coming over, and they're like, oh, hi, Dave, how are you doing? And he's like, look, I just want to say I'm really, really sorry.
Is that when they say about all the... no, he's... Oh, yeah, no, he's got the demon in him now, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So that's when they say that he's acting really weird. And he says, yeah, and he's always wanking off. Like, he's always like, what are you doing in there? Pat is like outside the bathroom. What are you doing in there, Dave? It sounds like you're playing patty cake with like some... I don't know what he says, but it's so funny.
Oh, that's later on when yeah, that's later on when they're listing.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
What could signs have been possessed. Yeah. So... Yeah, Dave comes over and they sort of cut the conversation down. He says sorry. Yeah. He says, look, guys, let's get this song finished and we'll be out of here by Sunday and then we can all go home, back to our wives and children, da-da-da. So they say, all right, okay, that's fine. So he says, look, here's how the song goes. He acts out. It's a bit of a Jack Black sort of moment where he sort of acts out the song to them.
You're going to do this, and then I'm going to go, and you're going to come in like thunder and horses, and just does this whole thing.
But they really buy into it and they're like, okay, cool. It sounds like this song's going to be epic. So they start recording, and this is where the sound engineers come in.
This is when they start go, right, let's record it, and John Carpenter comes in with sound engineer.
You've got John Carpenter fist bumping Snake Plissken, and it's a great little montage of them playing this song.
There's a bit where you can, because I know John Carpenter's voice so well, there's a bit where you can, it's quite obvious what he's saying, but he's going, wow.
Yeah, he says wow, doesn't he?
And it's when they play the guitar riff, and it's such a fucking dope guitar riff, though.
It's a great song.
It's solid.
I wouldn't want to hear it for 42 minutes.
No, it's not that long. It has about 2 minutes maybe or leading into it before it gets to it. It's like, and then it just goes, it's good.
Well, eventually they finish recording, and John Carpenter and Snake Plissken leave, and they do say to them, look guys, we'll go now. If there's anything else that you record over the weekend,
record it, and we'll take it on Monday, and we can, if you fancy it, the gear's there, just press record and just make sure you capture it.
So that's all good. And then they ordered more takeout.
Yeah.
So the takeout guy arrives with his demo, Bone Structure CD.
Are you not in the band?
Should be, shouldn't I? Bone Structure. It's great. I just was like, that's a great name for a band. Bone Structure.
It's not. It's a terrible name for a band.
I like it. He sees someone in the garden, and he's like, "Oh, Dave, is that you? I've got my demo,
I've got more ranch. You wanted more ranch?
I've got more ranch sauce for you." He's really kissing up to him, and he goes into the garden, and we get our Cropsy reference from The Burning.
The Burning.
The shears up in the air, and he gets beheaded.
Yep.
Then the body is dragged away. Great beheading. Nice roll of a head, and
it's all good effects in this. It's all good.
Yeah. It's cut to the band next day discussing the song. At this point, they say, "Right, Dave, this is a 38-minute track at this point." And they're all having a barbecue. They're saying, what are we going to do? And he's eating his steak. They realise he's eating his steak. It's raw, and he's like, "This is so fucking juicy."
Yeah, it's a rare steak.
Like, wow, okay, interesting. Barb comes to check on them. Jeff Garland's secretary. She pops in.
Pat's asleep on the floor with his little nightcap, like he's in my Night Before Christmas book. It looks like.
Well, it's a trick to the audience, because as she walks into the kitchen, she sees some legs on the floor and a puddle of blood next to it. Then realises it's just Pat sleeping on the floor with ketchup everywhere.
Yeah, and because the house is trash, she's like, "How do they do this? It's on the ceiling." Oh, she's stepping over and does shit.
He's like, "Yeah, they're fucking animals. I don't even have a bed, but it is what it is." And then
she mentions like the neighbour next door and says, "Oh, she brought some cakes over." And as she goes, "Oh, that cake," and he says, "You're just going to eat that?" And she starts saying to him how bad that cake could be. And he's just, and I love Pat's just thought of it. It's like, oh man, it's just the way he just goes, "Oh yeah, probably just eats it." I was like, "Yeah, you go, Pat, you tell her."
And underneath the cakes, he realises there's a message written that says, "The sacrifice." And but he says, "Well, look, the album's almost done. Don't worry about that. We're going to go and it's coming along nicely." At this point, because the song is now over 45 minutes long, Chris says, "I quit. I'm quitting the band. We're not doing a 40-minute song. I'm going to go outside. I'm going to start the barbecue, and I quit." So he's not really quitting. This probably happens in bands all the time. But he goes out, and while he's having a barbecue, Demon appears behind him, doesn't he, Gav?
Yeah.
Smashes his head on the grill. Nice effect of the flesh sort of coming off his face, sticking to the grill. And then on top of that, his head's shut in the grill, and then he's stabbed multiple times in the back. And we see that it's Mr. Grohl.
It's Dave Grohl. It's the drummer of Nirvana.
And he's wearing the overalls and the flat cap of the gardener. So he's probably the one that did the burning kill on the delivery guy as well.
Yeah.
Then the band find the delivery guy's body.
Yeah.
Strung up.
Pinned to a tree. Great effects again.
Yeah. And his demo is sort of sat between his legs.
Dave Grohl's like, I think it's my fault because I think I creeped him out a bit, and
he says, "Don't call the cops." And they're like, "What? What are you talking about?" Well, there's now, this body here, Krug died, now this guy's dead. And he says, please, one more day, get the song finished with this band, this noise that we've got, this acoustics. We're never going to be able to do this again. He says, then we'll call 911, the FBI, whoever the fuck you want, but if we're going to do this, I need you to all hand me your phones and your car keys so no one can leave. And they all just complacently just hand him their phones and their keys, and they're like, yeah, all right then.
It's a bit sketchy. He
actually breaks Taylor's phone, doesn't he, with his bare hand, and they don't question the strength that he's got when he does that. No. More recording montages now. Dave's acting weirder and weirder. We see him eating a body outside, and that is the body of Chris, who got smashed into the barbecue and killed. And yeah, so definitely we know as an audience now that this guy he's gone full Evil Dead. The band have just got to tune into what's going on now, really. Pat shows the sacrifice message to some of the other band, and they say, well, let's go and speak to Samantha. She obviously knows what's going on. And she explains to them the whole backstory, which is that the house that they're in is a gateway to another world, another demon dimension. The band that were there in the 90s opened up that dimension. They all got killed. And she's heard something. She was a groupie for that band, and she heard something about a book made of human flesh in the basement. And they have to put blood into the book to keep it fed. They say the book was written by Aleister Crowley, and it was made of human flesh. And she said there's a song called Tears of the Gods, and they couldn't perfect that song, so the lead singer of the band hung himself after killing everybody else in the band. So it's a pretty fucking big backstory. But as she's saying all of this, and she's saying, I was a groupie, all Rami can hear now is, great, she's a groupie. So I'm going to get laid in a minute then. That's good. I don't care about all this demonic shit.
Yeah, that's pretty much what he's thinking.
They then find all these dolls hanging in the trees, and they realise they need to depossess him. They need to find the book. They need to read a specific passage from the book. So they come up with a plan. The plan is Taylor's going to distract Dave by fucking up his drums when they're recording. And that'll keep him distracted while Pat and Nate go off to find the book. And of course, that leaves Rami to fuck Samantha.
He's pretty much like, I'll go around to Samantha's and make sure she's all right, sort of thing.
They're like, all right then. You've been wanting to do this for the last 2 weeks.
Go.
Just fucking go and do it.
Get
Jesus
on with
Christ.
it. Yeah.
Really funny stuff. So they get it on. They start banging. We keep cutting back to them. Pat and Nate are trying to find the book. And while the other two are banging, they don't realise someone's under their bed, do they, Gav?
No. And
it's under the bed.
It's almost Friday the 13th, isn't it?
It is, but with a chainsaw.
It's so good. So basically, I love the fact he's got a heart-shaped chest wig for a start, where he shaves it. So he's just sex all over this guy, and he's just sex on legs. And so they're banging away. He's on top of her, she's like, put the music on. I don't want Dave to hear us, which is a strange thing to say. And puts music on. Says, I love this bit, and it's each time this bit happens, it's like you can hear the chainsaw revving up as well. And what happens, Dan?
Well, the song is called, I think the song is called The Chainsaw, and there is a chainsaw in it as well. But yeah, then an actual chainsaw comes out from the bottom of the bed, in through the woman, and then into Rami, and literally split from head to butt. And they both just fall apart in each direction. Blood absolutely everywhere. Apparently, they only did 2 takes. And they said they filled up the fake bodies. One was a sex doll, like one of these high-tech sex dolls, and the other one was like a mannequin that they made. And they filled them with the same amount of blood that you'd get in the human body, but they didn't realise how much blood would fire everywhere when they did it. So when they did the second take, they could only use some of the close-ups and angles because they couldn't get the blood off of the ceilings and walls. Apparently they had to wait till the blood sort of stopped dripping off the ceiling before they could do take 2. That was just how much fake blood they used in this scene. And it's a great scene and very unexpected, and I've not seen a death quite like that in a horror movie before, so
it's good.
Kudos to them. And obviously then we see it was Dave Grohl that's done it, and he's got fangs now.
It's just because it's quite yucky though. It's two people having sex and it splits them in half, so they're connected and then they're splitting up, and it's a bit like, oh, that's kind of yucky.
Yeah. So he's got fangs, he's full on demoned. Go back to the other guys, they find the book. Some demons start coming after them, quite creepy looking sort of black shadow demons. They chase them back up the stairs.
Yep.
Dave says to Taylor, I know the end of the song is all in the drums, mate. It's all in the drums. I just need you to do your drums.
Yeah, because they told Taylor's like, okay, yeah, I'll just keep him amused by making him record my drums, and he's mucking up on purpose. And he even says to him, "Are you getting this wrong on purpose? It's easy, I've told you."
He says, "Come on, man, we're both drummers. We speak the same language."
Well, I'm surprised he doesn't say, "Get the fuck out of the way, I'll do it." To be honest with you.
Yeah, Prince would have done that.
Yeah, I just make the whole album myself. That's my Prince.
And he says, well, why don't I stop for a little bit and we go and get Chris to do his... And he's like, Chris is finished. Yeah. But what he means is Chris is finished as well. Yep. It's great little stuff going on here. But Nate and Pat, they go and hide underneath like the decking and they start reciting the passage. While this is happening, Taylor stands up and... he says, well done, you've done it. And Dave picks up the symbol. Frisbees at him, doesn't he, Gav?
Oh, that's such a good shot. Into the mouth, and then the rest of his top head stays there above the symbol into the wall, and the rest of it just drops to the floor. You're right, John Copter is down as engineer, but really, he looks like he's playing the producer part, so it's strange.
Yeah, he's one of a couple of engineers. So yeah, now Taylor's sadly been killed. And weirdly, he was not long after this movie came out that he actually died. It's all very strange. Not with a symbol, though, I might add. So yeah, Pat and Nate, they're shitting themselves underneath the decking, trying to read this text out, and they see Dave coming over, and they just shit themselves. They don't even try and hide; they just start running because they've seen Dave Grohl putting body parts.
Yeah, they're hiding on this thing, and they can what's he doing? And then all of a sudden, it's like Fargo, end of the original Fargo movie.
He's full on Fargo in this body part. Also reminds me of that hilarious scene in Tucker and Dale where that guy accidentally runs into a wood chipper. It's fucking so brutal.
Yeah, Dave has growling. He's growling. He's got big sharp teeth, and it's really very 80s kind of monstery demon type thing. Not really a werewolf, but he's quite a hairy fella anyway with his long hair.
Well, my notes now refer to him as
Deadite looking.
Deadite Dave, because he's like the Deadites from Evil Dead, essentially.
It is pretty much an Evil Dead movie, yeah. And I'm happy with that.
So they read the passages, they realise they need holy water, so they go to the swimming pool, they bless the water by reading out more of these passages, and all they've got to do is get him in the water. He's trying to stop them, and they just say, we want Dave back, and he's like, Dave's gone, Dave's no more, and it's all that usual stuff that you hear. It's great. Nate reads more from the book, and some energy shoots out of the book, hitting Dave Grohl in midair as he's flying at them. He lands in the swimming pool, and we get the Evil Dead poster recreated now as he flies out of the swimming pool. It's like the first Evil Dead poster when the girl comes out of the ground.
Yeah.
Because there's loads of leaves in the swimming pool. He rises out of the pool and he seems normal. He starts puking up blood. And they say, I think that was Chris you've just puked up there.
Oh.
Because there's loads of chunks of meat in it and it's disgusting. He's been eating his friend. But then the meat, the blood, all turns into a blob.
I know. It's just like you're puking up your buddy. It's pretty fucking disgusting. And then it starts turning into someone.
Yeah, into the gardener, who actually turns out to be the lead singer of Demon Widow, who hung himself, who was the original possessed person. So him and Dave have a full-on WWE SmackDown now, don't they? Yeah. They're like throwing each other down. It's not like fisticuffs or martial arts. It's like lumping each other around, like proper wrestling.
It's a weird thing here, because I kind of feel like I'm happy with the movie finishing when Dave was cleared, and do you know what I mean? I'd be kind of happy with that as an ending. I know it probably it doesn't tie up the story completely. But I would have been happy with it. It's okay, though, here, because it kind of still goes on afterwards. We've still got a little bit to go.
Yeah, so the rest of his band show up. The rest of Dream Widow show up. And you've got Jenna Ortega, who played Wednesday in the series.
Yeah.
I think she was in one of the new Scream movies, wasn't she, as well?
Yeah, apparently that's the band. They look like the shittest band.
Well, you know, it was 1993. It was a band from 93, you know. Look at what bands look like back then.
They look awful.
But they show up and they say, we'll take it from here. They grab him. Jenna Ortega pours his blood onto the book. The book has been fed, and it kind of ends the curse, really. But there is more, because they say, let's get out of here. The car won't start. So poor Pat, always lying down, he has to lie down underneath the car to try and get the wires to start or something. I don't really know what he's doing. And while he's doing that, Nate's in the van trying to start it.
Yeah.
And Pat's head is right under the tyre, Gav, isn't it?
It's the weirdest place to be for a start. It's like, you should... what happens?
Well, Barb shows up and Jeff shows up. And it does start to just drag a little for me at this point now.
Yeah, this ending, it should have finished by now. That's the problem.
Essentially, Dave Grohl has an argument and then a fight with Jeff Garlin. Jeff Garlin reveals he has been trying to sacrifice bands to this book, and he knew all about it, and he sent them there on purpose. While that's all happening, Nate gets impaled in the eye, runs over and crushes Pat's head, and then he backs into Barb, who then stabs him in the neck, I think, and all of them die. So the whole of the Foo Fighters are dead now, apart from Dave Grohl. Dave starts strangling Jeff, and he says, "You finished the song, didn't you? I knew it. Now it's time for your solo career." And then it cuts to 1 year later, and it's the Dave Grohl show. And they're like, "Oh, Mr. Grohl, you're on stage in 30 seconds." And you just see he's got those possessed eyes. And that's kind of the end, really. It feels like an ending to another movie I've seen where somebody gets powers and they kind of go off, and I can't remember what movie it is now. But that's the end. So the ending was a bit weak for me. But I absolutely enjoyed this fucking movie all the way through. And I think watch it, because the first time you watch something whilst reviewing it, it's difficult to sit back and enjoy it as much because I'm writing my notes. So I'm going to go back and watch this again in a few months with my feet up, you know, and a nice cup of tea or something, and really just chill out. And I think I'll probably enjoy it a little more. I will say, as much as I enjoyed it, I feel like maybe it was slightly overhyped. But maybe it's just the ending that's the weak part. I enjoyed everything leading up to that ending.
Yeah.
But this is the second time you've seen it now, right?
That was the second. Well, I started watching half of it, and then I stopped because I knew we were going to review it, so I did a second one. But in the week, actually, I started watching it again. Just in the daytime, I was just in the flat, sort of doing stuff, and I was like, I could put Studio 666 on again, and I was kind of enjoying it again.
Yeah, it's very easy to watch. You can tune in and out of it. Alice asked me to say her thoughts on it, which was because she watched most of it with me. Okay. She absolutely loves Dave Grohl and Foo Fighters. I think they're probably her favourite band. She said she thinks it's incredibly well produced, and she said the dialogue was one of her favourite things. She said it feels very Kevin Smith, the dialogue in this, and she said, and you can make sure you say that on your podcast. So I'm crediting her for that, and I can see that. There are some of the conversations around Waterworld and things like that. They are very Kevin Smith style comments and stuff like that. Great movie. I wanted a little bit more from the ending. Didn't need as much. Yeah. But the use of sort of 80% practical effects, all the love, the horror love that's poured into every scene, coupled with very funny natural dialogue, and just a genuinely good story, you know, about a band. You know, I haven't seen a movie like this since the old hot rock movies that used to come out, like the one you mentioned, and is it Purple Roses, or is that the one?
Blood Trucks. Oh, I don't know.
Purple Rain. There's a bunch of them. Ricky Morgan's shouting at me at the moment because him and SynOpsis have covered several of these. Yeah, it's great, and I would love to know what those guys think, and I'd love to know what you guys think. So if you guys have seen this, let me and Gav know what you think. It's a new movie, you know. It's on UK Netflix now, if anyone's got it. And if you're a fan of the old heavy metal horror movies, and you tell us what you think. How does this compare? You know, but I had a blast with it, and you're a bastard, you are, because, and this is showing my cards a little bit for the next movie as well, but your birthday episodes, you always get me, and you always manage to pick a couple of movies that are both fucking good, and you've done it for your birthday, and I'm glad. Yeah. And for me, it was special because this was the first watch. Yeah,
and the next movie is the first watch for you as well, Sorcerer.
It is indeed.
And that's going to be a conversation. Fucking hell.
Well, it's definitely a thumbs up from me, and I should imagine from you, Gav, for this one. Yeah. Check it out, Studio 666. It's a blast. It's a Friday night movie, and it'll probably go down as a bit of a cult movie over the years, I should imagine.
I'd have thought so.
And a lovely send-off for Taylor Hawkins, because it was his, you know, obviously the last film he was in. He's more known for his music, but the last film he was in, so... And he's brilliant. He comes across brilliantly in this. One of my favourite characters alongside Pat in this, really. So,
yeah,
good stuff.
Yeah, totally.
Well done, Foo Fighters. Well done.
All right. So I guess it's a little bit of a World of Strange.
Yeah.
Is that Bill? All right.
He's brought Paul Rudd with him.
Hey!
Wow! They're promoting Ghostbusters. Frozen Empire.
No, but they're not allowed to talk.
No, of course not.
But I don't understand why this whole non-talk and this non-NDA thing we've got going on here.
Look how handsome Paul Rudd is. What is your secret, Paul? How would you stay looking like you're 20 all the time? What?
Moisturiser, I don't know.
Bill Murray is... Oh, God.
Don't look.
Right, okay, Bill, take us into World of the Strange, you disgusting man.
Hi, welcome back to World of the Strange.
Awful, strange words. Thank you for that, Bill Murray and Paul Rudd. Great stuff to have you both here, although can't speak to us.
They had a Murray Rudd time.
A Murray Ruddy time.
Yeah.
So I've got one story, and it's a very, very recent story, and I warn you now, it's going to send you down a rabbit hole if you want to watching videos and reaction videos and TikToks. It's about something that happened in a Miami shopping centre on New Year's Day. I don't know if you've heard of this, Gav.
Of this year?
Yeah. Yes.
No. Well, no.
Okay, so aliens caught on camera.
Really?
A large fight broke out, the police say, at a shopping mall on New Year's Day, but people are speculating the police are covering up an alien invasion. So we'll get into this, because there's a lot of video footage, CCTV footage from inside the shopping centre, and there's a couple of theories and some interesting facts, things that don't add up. So there's a viral video showing heavy police presence at Bayside Marketplace shopping mall in Miami on New Year's Day. As I've said, many speculate that it's aliens that visited the mall, but what is it? What's going on? So the police said they came out because they'd heard reports that there was a fight between around 50 teenagers who had fireworks and potentially firearms on them, and they were shooting fireworks and causing all sorts of trouble and noise and scaring all the people who were shopping. So the police ended up doing something which they don't do unless there's like a terrorist attack or a major incident. They called for every single officer and car on duty to come to the shopping mall. So the entire Miami Police Department came out, and you can see this on the video footage. There are hundreds of police cars.
What was the inciting incident which sparked them to come out? What was the thing thrown out at them over the radio then? What are they saying?
I'm not sure, other than there are reports of firearms and fireworks going off in the shopping mall.
And just everybody go there?
Everybody go there. So
that's not normal, is it? Unless it's a terrorist incident, say 9/11 type.
Exactly, it's not normal.
Not saying I'm not getting into that if that's a terrorist or it's a high war, any of that shit. I'm not getting into it. I'm just saying when it's a big event, they don't need to do that.
So there's lots of video footage you can watch on YouTube and anywhere else you want to of all these cops coming to this, for this so-called fight between some teenagers. Now that's a lot of police officers for just what they're saying is 50 teenagers. However, witnesses are saying there were no teenagers fighting, and if there were only a handful of them. They said what was happening was there was a riot. People were running and trying to get out of the shopping centre because something was in there. Now, there's two parts to this. The first part is there's some of the video footage you can see what looks like 10 to 12 foot aliens or beings.
Well, I'm going to have to, while you're telling me, look it up, aren't I?
Walking around the front of the shopping mall with the police spotlights on them. Really tall, very strange. So many eyewitnesses, and people would have videoed this. The second part to this is some CCTV footage from inside the shopping centre, which shows people running from the right of the screen to the left, screaming and shouting and panicking, and what looks to be a portal of some kind opening up, and a creature stepping out of it, like a 10-foot creature, just off camera, just off the screen, coming out of that portal, and some kind of energy blasts coming out of the portal firing towards the crowd that are running away. So the police have issued a video statement, which again you can watch online, of a police officer kind of laughing a little bit, saying, "I can assure you there were no aliens. This isn't Men in Black. It was a bunch of teenagers," and he kind of explains why they were called out. But he says, "I know everybody thinks it's aliens, but it wasn't." But the fact they've had to issue this is a bit, for me, feels a bit cover-uppy. And the fact that many police officers came out, and the fact that
it's loads of police.
It's a lot of police, isn't it? You're looking at it now. I'm looking at
an aerial view of just a lot of cop cars.
Yeah, and so like I said, there's two parts to this. One part is that the creatures that are seen outside that look to be about 10 to 12 foot tall, and the video, the CCTV footage inside the shopping mall.
They move so weirdly.
They sort of glide.
I didn't know anything about this, Sarah.
Yeah,
Sarah.
This is only a few weeks ago, and then if you get a chance, maybe not now, but if you can, there's CCTV footage inside the shopping mall of people running, like I said, from right to left of camera, and some kind of energy portal seems to appear. It's bad. It's very rough footage, but you can see some kind of energy portal appear, and something seems to come out of it, and there's energy beams firing at the crowd. So this has been like all over the internet for the last few weeks. Everybody's talking about it. The police have issued numerous statements.
Yeah, okay, and what is their statement?
Well, they've said it's not what you were saying. It was what you were talking about are teenagers with their shadows, but they're not shadows. You can see that they're very big things. I don't know what they are.
Why would aliens, though, be wanting to show themselves?
Let me tell you the last part of it. If you take the exact GPS coordinates of this particular random, very normal shopping centre in Miami, and you put them into Google Maps reversed, it takes you to the centre of Antarctica, which is, and you can't view that on Google Maps. It's blacked out because we don't know. There's hundreds of reasons why. There's a secret base there. There's aliens living there amongst us. But basically, the weirdest thing about this for me is if you take those coordinates and reverse them, you go back to Antarctica. So that, tied in with the portal, has led a lot of people to believe they accidentally portaled themselves to this shopping centre.
Are you telling me Frank and Bob the aliens, right, you two, You just got to fucking go to Antarctica, okay?
Meet up with the rest of them.
All you've got to do.
They're all waiting for you there.
They're having a little party. It's your 5th time of being an alien in Alien Universe land, and you're giving them a little cake and a party. They're waiting for you. It's a surprise, but just be surprised, okay? That's all you got to do is get there.
What
Don't
are the coordinates again, Bob? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And they just, one of them get, what was it? Oh, I don't know.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm sure he said.
Probably like the equivalent of Beavis and Butthead as aliens, and they've just gone there. So and you look at them, they're just both wandering and going, I don't know where we are. Where are we? As aliens.
We're in a shopping centre. Oh, this isn't Antarctica. Fuck. We fucked up. Either that, or they meant to go there, and either way, that's a very strange coincidence.
Well, no, they didn't. But I don't know. I don't want to. This isn't my other podcast. If you want to hear me going off and on about this stuff, listen to the High Strangeness podcast.
So to tie this up, no teenagers were seen running. Eyewitnesses said they didn't see any fights or hear any fireworks or guns. They said that they stopped air traffic over that part of the city for the whole night, and all that was seen was those black military choppers, you know, the ones that appear when dodgy shit's going on. Like if you try and get to certain parts of the Grand Canyon, because apparently there's ancient Egyptian stuff, and I say Egyptian, you heard me, ancient weird Egyptian style tombs in the Grand Canyons. If you try and go into some of these caves, black choppers appear immediately, and you get taken off by guys in suits and taken back to the checkpoint, and they say you're not allowed anywhere near here. So these black choppers were the only thing in the sky this night. No more air traffic was allowed. All the roads were shut, and every single on-duty police officer in Miami came out. All because some teenagers were allegedly having a fight.
Has no one got actually any mobile phone footage? Because someone would have. I know they're panicking running, but you know what people are like. Everyone would have been filming. Why have we not seen any in person?
Because there wasn't really anybody.
Taken it. They would. Someone would have filmed it.
No. Because there wasn't really anybody in there. This is the point. They're saying there was a bunch of teenagers in there, but there wasn't. The police are just saying that as a cover-up as to why they called out every single cop in the city.
What's the gunfire now? I see people running for it with gunfire. Is that because they're shooting at the aliens?
Well, apparently somebody had some fireworks, but if you look at the CCTV footage that's taken from inside the shopping mall, there are some kind of weird energy blasts coming out of this portal. Now maybe it's that's making the noise, maybe it's the aliens, I'm not sure, but they're saying it's a huge brawl, but there's no evidence of this brawl. What there is evidence of is every cop panicking and going to the shopping centre, some 10-foot creatures walking around, and a portal opening up inside. And then coupled with the fact that it's Antarctica's coordinates backwards, what's going on in Miami, Gav?
Yeah.
I'm going to Miami.
Maybe they have to get Will Smith.
So, maybe. Will Smith was in Men in Black and he sang the Miami song.
And Independence Day.
So the story the police have is that someone threw a bottle at a car and it started a fight between some teenagers. But again, there's not really any evidence of this. They say they've arrested some teenagers who were later set free, but they've not given any names. No one was injured. So it's just a very lazy story. What really happened inside the shopping centre? And I wanted to bring this up because it's a sort of news story now.
I didn't know, and I'm so happy you've brought this up.
I'm going back and I'm checking on this story every few days because it only happened a month ago. Not even that, a few weeks ago. So I'm like, what's next? What's next? So yeah, check out the reaction videos. People break down the videos and zoom in, and especially that one that's inside the shopping centre with the portal. That's the one that really is quite interesting. People are really breaking that down. But like I said, what do you think about those coordinates? Flipping them and you end up back up in Antarctica, which is rumoured for years to be alien central. There's stuff under the ice that's being covered up by the government. You're not allowed to fly over there. Nobody owns Antarctica. No one's allowed to fly over it. It's not allowed to be shown on Google Maps. All of this kind of stuff. Like, what is going on, Gav? aliens? What is it?
We are just basically just civilizations after civilization on top of each other. The water comes along, drowns us all, floods us all, freezes, then we start building and start going again, and just keep going over layer on layer on layer of civilizations. And I don't know. That's my theory anyway.
But you've just watched, so you describe, you've just watched some of the footage. Do you describe to our listeners what you've seen?
I can only see the chaos. I can see very a high up bird in the eyes, helicopter type view, looking downwards and outwards, and just looks like a Christmas tree lit up. And it's not. It's every one of those little light bulbs. In fact, police cars. It's a massive amount of cops, and then there's just hecticness, people running and away from. You'd imagine it's a gunfire, that sort of thing they're running from, because they'll be used to it, that thing breaking out. But you do see these two kind of if you've seen the chicken video, the little kid that did the chicken dance with the pants on his head when he's sort of at night, and they thought, hey, is it an alien? And this kid's like, no, it's me. They look like two of the chicken head kids are kind of walking along, actually, funny enough. It's
to me, they look like
it almost looks CGI the way they walk, though, but it looks so shit CGI that it couldn't be nowadays, because our CGI is too good that even AI, you could do, your gran could make a great CGI
They look like the
film.
the inflatable wacky wailing men that you get outside places. They're on Family Guy a lot, the wacky inflatable.
Yeah,
they look a bit like those things walking along, don't they?
Yeah. It's strange.
I suggest spending an hour or so lying in bed just watching videos on this, Gav. It is a great rabbit hole to go down, and it's one that I'm still in right now.
I've watched quite a few of them already.
Yeah, there's loads. The reaction videos are great. People go off on crazy theories. There's one more part to it that our buddy RJ McCready brought to my attention, which is somebody else said that portal potentially could be something to do with a time loop, because there's reports that a similar incident happened something like 20 years ago. Exactly the same thing happened. Every cop car came out. Now, I can't find any news on this, but there is definitely stories of people saying it's a loop and these aliens have just gone back and recreated or something, I don't know. But so there's loads of theories: time travel, portals, 10-foot aliens, kids with fireworks. Who knows what it was? All I know is if Will Smith holds up a shiny silver dildo and asks you to look at it, shut your eyes.
Indeed.
Oh, but you could look at it if you want. It's probably something to do with Scientology.
It's a weird fucking thing. I didn't know anything about it.
It's exciting. What are your final thoughts before Bill Murray takes it away?
Oh, I don't know, because this whole UFO thing that's going on, it's like there's I've gone on to this on my other show. There's so many thoughts of it, but that's a weird one. There's one way of looking at it, it's a complete cover up for something else going on, and the government's just starts telling them they're showing this footage stuff. Because they're doing something really sketchy, they're trying to misdirect us. Yeah, maybe. But this seems a bit over the top if they were.
Well, I mean, the amount
and
of
if they're trying to hide it and tuck it under the rug, seems a bit weird for them to do that. So it's a bit so what is? I don't know. I can't tell you. Is it real? I don't know. There's some weird shit going on there.
The sheer amount of police officers that attended that incident is just nuts.
That's true. Seeing that footage from all the helicopters, all the different news outlets that are doing it, they're not all jointly going, let's pretend this happened. That's showing that footage of that. Obviously, I can't see anything else. It's very hard nowadays living with the internet, and everyone has a phone in their pockets. That's why we see so much more stuff. But so many people can do fake stuff, and it's so hard now, getting excited by stuff.
Yeah.
That's
this
the problem.
excited me.
This has excited me. I do need to know more about it, and I reckon that my next show with Sarah of the High Strangers podcast episode, I might have to have a little talk about this beforehand.
Please do. Well, there we go. That's Miami aliens going shopping on New Year's Day.
Thanks for that. That's like a little birthday treat for me.
There we go. Merry birthday to you.
Right up my street.
Right, Bill, if you could stop using whatever that is to moisturise Paul Rudd's face. What is that? Oh my God, it's true.
I told you not to look.
Bill, take us away.
That's all the time we've got for this week on World of the... Next week, though, Gimme Ira. Perilous Pets.
In a new film by William Friedkin, Sorcerer.
Sorcerer from 1977, 2 hours and 1 minute. 4 unfortunate men from different parts of the globe agree to risk their lives, transporting gallons of nitroglycerin across dangerous Latin American jungle. What? Who thought of this? Originally a book.
Yes.
Is where the idea came from. You're here for movies. Unfortunately, if you are a book person, I am not the person to have conversations with. This was from a book. That's all I can really tell you. The tagline, die really hard. That's the tagline. Like, die hard,
okay.
but die really hard.
Die really hard.
Is it like Die Hard 5, drive really hard?
6, that would be, wouldn't it? Jesus.
Then it was not remade. It was originally made in France. What was the movie called for that? See, we should
The
know
Wages of Fear.
That's it. I didn't get a chance to watch the film. I was going to. It just didn't happen. I didn't even realise, you see, and I was like, oh, okay. Like I said, originally thought this film was like one of the sword and sorcery type early 80s fantasy type sort of films. And I didn't know really anything about this. And all I knew was that sort of picture on the front cover. But then I sort of found out it wasn't a horror movie. Because obviously you see Sorcerer, William Friedkin, Exorcist, you kind of think, oh, okay, it's horror. And then just, I don't know what made me... Oh, I was in a shop and there's a Blu-ray copy for sale, like a tenner or something like that, like an Arrow copy, or I think it might have been, or something, I don't know. And I was like, oh shit, oh fuck it, I'm gonna pick it up on a blind buy type sort of thing. Blown away by this, just because I know William Friedkin is an old school filmmaker. He likes to do it's in camera. It's just old school. He's really like we're gonna. He's one of those like Francis Ford Coppola types. Where people might die, but we're gonna get the film made type people. You know.
Yeah, and so something to talk about really is this film was made in 1977. So
the year I was born, and it's my birthday. So
yeah, I thought that was funny. Yeah. So that time in filmmaking is very special, like the mid 70s to the late 70s.
It's a bit of the Wild West, a little bit for big players, isn't it?
Yeah, and William Friedkin was definitely one of these guys. People push the boundaries, not like shockingly, like they didn't shock people. They just pushed. They really got behind they believed in their project that they were directing or producing or whatever it was, and really it's very special stuff that came out at this time. And this has a real Deliverance sort of vibe to it. There is some parts of it that you can really feel The Exorcist as well. He has a real signature, Friedkin. Obviously he directed The French Connection, and it's just this is a very grounded not even adventure. This is an exercise in fucking tension, man. This film, particularly midway through Act 2 and all the way through Act 3, this film is a full-on tension session. You will be so tense. So I advise you now, if you haven't seen Sorcerer, stop. Go watch it. Don't listen to us, because we're going to probably spoil it right from the beginning. Not that there's a huge amount to spoil, but the tense scenes, and will they or won't they, because they're not very nice guys. All of the guys in this are all baddies. And we don't know who the hero is. We guess it's Roy Schneider because he's Roy.
Only because he's the white American.
Yeah, I know.
Who we've seen in Jaws, but that would be the only reason anyone would root for him. And they already know him, though. We don't know the other actors so much.
Yeah. So this film left me feeling... First of all, it's my first time watch. I was blown away. Absolutely blown away by this. This now is up there for me in... It's not quite a film gods movie, but it's up there. and it makes me realise how good William Friedkin is, because I forgot how good The French Connection is. I now want to go back and rewatch that.
Yeah.
You know, obviously The Exorcist, one of my favourite horror films of all time.
Check out Cruising.
Cruising, I haven't seen that, but you know, you've watched that. It's a great movie, great performances. And what's incredible about this movie, more than any of the things I've just mentioned, forget the people, is where they shot it, the locations, the effects.
In 77, think about the size of the cameras.
Exactly.
Transporting them.
The rope bridges, the sort of the valleys they had to cross.
Yeah,
the trees.
Not like Apocalypse Now, where we have that incredible documentary, and Soon the Darkness. That's such a great documentary. Luckily, Francis Ford Coppola's daughter was like, you know, you could take a camera and film his wife, film all this stuff. So, like, unfortunately, we don't for this. There's nothing on the extras like that, which is a shame.
No. But there is a hell of a story behind this, which involves at least 50 of the crew getting gangrene and malaria, and Friedkin himself got malaria, and he lost 50 pounds. He didn't find out until he was at the premiere. He was very weak, and people suffered. But I tell you what,
you can see it.
You can see it, and it adds. And I'm not saying people should suffer for their art to make a film.
We've discussed recently in the episodes of Death in Cinema, and how it should be avoided.
And obviously, health and safety was very different in 1977 or 76, probably, when this was shot. But my God, the blood, sweat, and tears that went into making this really feel, and it weirdly also gave me a bit of a vibe of that Twilight Zone segment. With the do you know what I mean? With the
that's quite hectic.
Who died and stuff. What a film, Gav! What, like I said earlier, you're a bit of a bastard because you've managed again. You picked two fucking great films, neither of which I'd seen, but this is a real film, Like, you sit down and there's no fucking about it. This is a great story, great performances, and I must admit, took me by surprise because it took its time to get going. Once I realised the setup, which to jump to that just now, is 4 not very nice guys from various parts of the world that all end up in this little village in Venezuela because
they're hiding.
They're hiding out from their lives. They're terrorists. They're con men. They're gangsters. This is like basically Industrial Dawn when they want to go and live in El Rey in Mexico. This is the place. And then they have an opportunity which brings them together to transport this nitroglycerin 280 miles, I think it is. And they're all going to get like $20,000, which is a lot of money. It means they can buy a passport and they can live freely within the country and not live in poverty. That's all the story is. It's so simple. But because of that, I've never seen something quite like that before. Fucking hell, man. The tension. The act. It's just fucking...
I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, I've got a big boner for this film.
Yes.
Big boner for this film.
Yes, everything you say is correct. It's a great film. Yeah. As soon as I watched it, I was like, we've got to talk about this.
I've got to be honest, I only heard about it 4 or 5 years ago. Then you started talking about it a year or so ago, maybe. And since watching it, I've realised it's considered an absolute classic, a must-watch if you like cinema of any kind. And, posting, I'm watching this tonight. Everybody's like, this is in my top films of all time. This is my favourite film of all time. People are... And I'm like, where have I been? How is this not in my viewing?
Yeah, it's new for me too, though, so... it starts off with like a whole sort of thing, us sort of jet setting back and forth. I'm not getting completely into it, but I'm just saying very quickly. William Friedkin himself said that he I did it to kind of big grand scale before getting into it, and he feels like he should not have gone so like that. Do you know what I mean? Where he sort of shows this really like kind of a James Bondy in some ways. Just
I was about to say,
big,
very Bond.
massive set pieces, but at least 4 of them. So well, not all massive, I suppose. The explosion obviously is, which just looks crazy, but we'll get to that. But he says that, you know, he feels like he sort of spent a bit too long, I think, on that as well. You know, just that part before getting into the main bit of it himself. But I like it, isn't it? Like it's you're reading a book or you're really getting into, and obviously this what came from a book, but you're really getting into it and you got to notice the characters, and this is like a big. But you have to know almost how despicable these people are, almost, because you don't root for them, but you kind of do because you want. It's like a football match or something. Whatever entertains you human beings in the world. It's like we want to see this dynamite get across, but the chances it might blow up is quite fun. So we don't really root for these characters because they're all cunts in their own way.
And going back to Friedkin and the grand design that he had for this, you know, because it starts off in these very just really amazing countries and locations, real places as well. You know, this is it. What this reminded me of before we get into the jungles where it's all just trees and ravines, and you know, what it reminded me of is the opening of The Exorcist, which was huge, grand scale in Iraq. You know, they're doing that dig, and it's all very like they've gone there, like in Indiana Jones, where they go to these deserts and they film for real in these places. You know, and it's just so good. But it took me minutes. I thought, oh, I'm not sure if I'm going to like this because I'm not quite sure what's happening. But if you stick at the story, it's quite a straightforward story. You just got to know these four characters and where they go and why they're doing what they do. And I think the languages will put people off. That's what elevates this. They're all speaking individual languages because they're all in different countries as well. Yeah. Oh, it's great.
Funny enough, just a quick segue. Excuse me. It's on Netflix actually, so I've put it on my list, and I'm gonna, when I get a moment to go, an afternoon, I'm gonna sit and watch that. Oh, I've never seen it. I'm gonna watch Lawrence of Arabia.
Oh yeah, that's good.
It's supposed to be very good.
I would also say, before we get into this story, this is the best performance I've ever seen from Roy Schneider. He's incredible in this.
Yeah.
He's really good in this. Carries the whole film.
Well, all of them, you can see the desperation. And you can just see how hard and tiring it must have been to shoot this fucking film. Statue Moon. We were going over by a few hours in the woods. That's not anything really. But we were all going, oh my God, I'm weak.
It's 1 a.m, Gab, I'm so tired.
Oh, everybody eat biscuits, damn you, we must keep going. You know, this wasn't this. This wasn't lorries going down mudslid fucking ravines. Like, how the fuck, what happens when the lorry gets stuck? Have you got a crane come in and take it out? What the fuck?
And they built the bridges, you know.
I wish I knew more of the backstory.
There's some really good trivia on. If you go on IMDb, there's lots of trivia about how they built the bridges with hydraulics in them. But yeah, obviously still things would go wrong because it was the 70s and they were out in the middle of nowhere. And like you said, if something went wrong, they had to wait for someone to come out and do this or do that. Everybody got malaria. Everyone was getting bitten by things, you know.
And think they wouldn't have a mobile phone. They could just ring someone else back home. There's not going to be a phone when they're out there. They're out there, so they'd be sending messengers.
It's just crazy, really, and I don't know how long they were out there filming this.
It's just let's get into this film because,
and a very small budget as well. I would just say. Did you see what the budget was?
No,
it was. Let me go back to it now.
See, this is good for me because I don't really know this film myself. I watched it and went, "Fuck me, we've got to do this film."
Sure, it said it was
and that's why we're here.
$2.5 million budget that I see. Which is
really small. That's like, that had been then looked upon as like a very low budget. I know it's 77, but that still would have been looked upon as a fairly low budget.
Yeah, so it's $2.5 million budget.
That's ridiculous. How?
Oh, sorry, that's what they wanted, and then it ended up spilling to, because lots of stuff kept going wrong. It ended up going to 15 million in the end, so a bit more. But yeah. Great. And Tangerine Dream coming along and doing the score. What the fuck? Like,
it's the thing is, this movie, even though it's not a horror movie, there's a night it feels like a nightmare. I don't have nightmares. I've not had a nightmare for many years. I occasionally have them, hardly at all. Or dreams in general. Anyway, which is very sad. I wish I had my dreams again, Daniel. I could dream of being a pink butterfly.
I can give you a wet dream later if you like.
No. You can't give that to me, though. I have to give it to myself, don't I?
Well, if you're asleep, I can do something to you.
No.
Happy birthday.
No. Literally, I don't know what I'm talking about.
You said Tangerine Dream, and you said this feels like a nightmare.
Like you are. My podcasting host. This feels like a nightmare, or I remember what nightmares were like, because it's just that whole like stuck that's pouring with rain, the claustrophobia. But then Tangerine Dream just steps in and goes, "We're just going to make some really weird fucking prog rock type of shit going on in the background to make you go, the fuck is going on?"
And the word sorcerer will, like you said, will throw people.
One of the trucks.
Yeah, they named the trucks Lazarus and the other one Sorcerer. And Sorcerer is an evil wizard of fate. And Friedkin said the reason they called it that was because the big baddie in this whole movie is fate, and how every turning they're trying to do something else fucks up, and they just cannot catch a break.
Yeah, it didn't do well.
It didn't, no.
And thing is, though, I think Sorcerer, according to Sorcerer, was the wrong thing. If they'd have called it fucking, I don't want it, Jungle Drive, explosions through the jungle.
Jungle Drive sounds like a rock movie with Dwayne Johnson, doesn't it? Have you seen that new Dwayne Johnson movie, Jungle Drive? It's great. What happens in it? Him and Johnny Knoxville driving through the jungle.
Or explosions in the jungle, or something like that.
Or Road Bridge, or something.
Yeah. With that front cover, you could have thrown it as in like that. Yeah, absolutely. That's perfect. Yeah. And I think that's probably where they did it wrong. But at that point, though, William Friedkin at this point, though, is at the top of his fucking game.
Yeah.
He's untouchable. So he just went, and he's proud of it. This is a film that he wanted to make, so fuck it.
This is his favourite film of his career.
Good on him. He did it. Yeah. Fuck it. He got to the point where he could declare what he wanted and go and make it and do it. And people went along with him, all these characters. And what a great cast and what great actors.
Yeah. Fantastic stuff. And it's great to see Roy Schneider as a baddie.
Yeah,
it's weird.
It'd be weird having Rob Schneider as the lead. But anyway, let's get into
this. So we get the Exorcist font, don't we? Of course, just like John Carpenter's got his own font for his movies, William Friedkin seems to have his own font for this movie, followed on from the Exorcist. And we are in a place called Veracruz in Mexico. That's where we open up, and we see a man assassinated in a hotel room.
Yep.
And we see some guys who have been they've come out of the after the assassination, and they make a run for it, and then a bomb goes off.
Where were we just then, though? Because I know then we're in Jerusalem before that we have the explosion and the guys on the bus. But where did it say? Because I missed it and I didn't get back to it.
Veracruz in Mexico.
Mexico.
Yeah.
Okay. Cut to Jerusalem. Yep.
Yeah, cut to Jerusalem in Israel. And there's some Palestinian militants who are disguised as Jews in amongst the crowds. And they have a bomb. And the bomb goes off.
Wow. When that bomb goes off. What the fuck? There's people just really getting thrown. And it's like, whoa, shit.
Again, there's something so gritty about filmmaking in this time period.
Yeah.
Because these days
it's on film as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it just looks real. But these guys walk off, and they run off. And they split up. Yeah. 2 of them get killed by the army, the Israeli defense, and the other 2 manage to get onto a bus and escape. One of these men is Kasim, who is going to be one of our 4 nitroglycerin transporters.
That could be the name of the movie.
That would be Jason Statham.
It would be.
Nitroglycerin transporter.
Nitroglycerin transporter. Oh, I'm Jason Statham.
Listen, I gotta get this explosive stuff from A to fucking B, right? I don't care how many trees are in my way. And if you're on my way, I'm going to chop you down like a fucking tree, sunshine.
Yes. Speaking of bee, I'm in the beekeeper now. I am the beekeeper. I've not seen it. I will watch it.
I will watch it.
Because you know what you're getting when you get Jason Statham film, really. And I'm like, yeah, fine.
Kicking everyone's ass.
Yeah.
So, yeah, these guys, the bomb goes off. But the police kill all but one of them, Kasim, and he escapes. And there's a riot outside. Huge riot happens.
The police raid, when they go in, the way it's shot is like role-playing games we play now with Call of Duty. It's shot like that, handheld, real going in with the cops and stuff, and it's like, what the fuck? The cameras would have been big and shit, and it's just the way it's been filmed is like, how have you done this?
It really reminded me of The Raid, and that there's the way that they go into the building at the beginning, where it feels so gritty and real, and you're there with them going in. Do you know what I mean?
It really was. I was just so impressed with it, just the way the camera's movement like that. Yeah.
So far we've met Nilo, who's the guy that executed the man in Mexico. We've met Kasim, who set the bomb off in Israel.
We've got a hitman, a bomber.
And a bomber, or a terrorist. And now we're in Paris. Now we're in Paris. And this is where we're going to meet Victor. Victor is with his wife.
He doesn't seem too bad a person. I think he's not so bad out of them. Out of the four.
Yeah, he's like a money embezzler, isn't he?
Yeah, he's not really trying to stitch anyone up where, like, obviously Roy's like a fucking driver for a church hit robbery, which we get
fucking hell.
So that's a bit mean. But
that's a bit mean.
That's a bit mean. Well, yeah.
But yeah, he speaks to his wife. I think the thing for him is that he's got such a loving wife and a child, and he just abandons them to save his own skin. And I think that's his sort of sin, because his wife gives him an anniversary watch with his, happy anniversary engraved on it, and then he finds out that there's some issues with money, doesn't he?
Yeah.
His brother-in-law and him have it. Yeah, and he says to his brother-in-law, you need to speak to your dad, his father-in-law, and he needs to help us with this, because I'm going to go to prison if I can't prove my innocence in this, like, money laundering, whatever it is, in the next 24 hours. Well, Pascal, his brother-in-law, then kills himself, blows his brains out.
Well, let's go back to this very quickly. So this guy has claimed to have false possessions of 15 million.
Yeah.
So it's basically fraud. So the investment company, have given him basically 24 hours sorted out. So he's having dinner with his wife and family. They're just sort of sitting there. And it's a very nice place, as you can imagine. It's not a sort of place I would eat at or ever eat at, really, but I'm happy with that anyway. And the waiter comes over and says, oh, there's someone here to speak to you, or whatever, or phone call, whatever it is. Well, is it a phone call, or is it someone to see him?
I think someone comes to speak to him.
It was, wasn't it? So it's his brother-in-law, and he gets up from the table and says, I'll just be back in a minute, dear. And just goes off to the normal. He's all very well presented, this fella is, and walks off to go see him. Chats straight to this guy, and he sort of say, you got to speak to get your dad to fucking sort this out, blah 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 blah. And he turns around to walk back, and the guy in the background goes and gets in his Porsche, and in the foreground we've got this guy walk towards the camera. In the background, all of a sudden, blood out the rear window, and he's blown his brains out, and you kind of realise this, and you're like, fuck. And then you're like, straight away, just like, that dude just left his wife has no idea. He can't go and sit back down and just go, okay, let's just continue. This is like, because of her brother is outside, it's just blown his brains out.
Yeah, actually, he doesn't have a child, but but I think his sin. No, he doesn't, because later on that he's asked, "Do you have children?" He's like, "No, but someday I want to." But he.
Oh, okay, no, all right.
He leaves it, so he just fucks off.
He just goes, and that's it. He never sees his wife again.
So his wife's going to have to deal with her brother, who's just committed suicide in the car park, and the fact that her husband's vanished because there's $15 million.
Yeah.
So yeah. So he's not as bad, but he's still
not good. Not
a good guy. He's
so,
got no morals.
So then we cut to America.
Yeah, we cut to New Jersey, and we get an Irish gang with Roy Snyder in it, and they are going into a church because they know that this church has a bingo game and there's loads of cash for the bingo, and the priests are counting all the cash. Apparently, it's based on a real thing. It's happened for real in I think New York or New Jersey.
I'm sure the churches have loads of cash, don't they? And it's all cash.
And what they do is they jump in and they get all the cash. One of the priests tries to fight back and they shoot the priest. Now, what they don't realise, this Irish gang...
Did you see, though, the people getting married and there's a woman getting married with a black eye?
Forget, no reason. Just adds to the grittiness.
Oh, it just shows, because Sarah's, like, lovely. And it's just like, yeah...
Well, there's a story there that we already know, don't we?
Yeah, like, fuck. And, yeah...
And what adds to it more is we find out that this church is kind of looked after and owned by the Italian mafia.
Yeah.
So that's probably why she's got the black eye. These aren't very nice guys. No. But also, this Irish gang have shot, not only have they robbed all the money, they've shot a priest who happens to be the brother of Carlo Ricci, who is the Italian mafia kingpin of New Jersey.
Yeah, and they shouldn't have shot. What was the reason they shot? Did one of them go a bit trigger happy?
Yeah, one of them got a bit trigger happy and decided they would shoot.
There's always one.
There's always one. Now, they don't know this yet. Roy Schneider doesn't know this yet, but so they're escaping.
Yeah, he's just in the car waiting to drive.
And they're all bombing down the road in this car. And Roy Schneider is driving, and the guys start arguing with each other.
Well, there's an Irish fella in the back, and he's kind of pissed that he's not getting as much as someone else or whatever.
He says, you're a piece of shit, you are. And he goes, you're a piece of shit too. And they start sort of arguing a bit. This distracts Roy.
Yeah, well, he pulls out his piece. So he says, like, hey, man, put that away. And he's looking over his shoulder and just drives into a lorry.
This is a hell of a car crash, isn't it? Again.
It's really
don't do him like
bloody
this.
as well.
Yeah, well, the car flips and goes roof first as it's flying through the air into like a lamppost on a lorry. Then all this blood starts. Yeah, which then washes all the blood out of the car.
And there's blood everywhere, and it's just there's people screaming and stuff. It's like, whoa.
And the only survivor is Roy Schneider.
Schneider,
and he says
Schneider survivor.
He goes to meet his buddy, Vinny.
Schneider survivor.
What are you singing?
I'm singing Schneider survivor.
Okay.
It's like a band.
Roy Schneider could have done like a cover band of Shania Twain songs called Schneider Twain.
Schneider Twain. Schneider survivor.
That don't impress me much.
Fucking hate that song.
Man, I feel like a woman.
I fucking hate it. Is that hers as well? Fuck.
Yeah.
Fuck her. Like, seriously, fuck you.
I better cancel the Shania Twain stripper that I've got for your birthday then.
Well.
Go on then.
Oh, right then. I don't know what she looks like though.
Roy Schneider, Jackie, his character is called. He meets up with his friend Vinny after all of this, and Vinny says to him, "You fucked up. You don't know about this church, who owns it, who the brother is that got shot. They're after you.
Yeah,
there's a hit on you.
There's a hit taken out in you fucking idiot."
Because we see it, don't we? We see the sort of the usual mafia boys sitting around and they go,
he's achieved
Does anybody know who shot my brother? And he's like, yeah, it was the Irish gang. His name's Jackie. Da da da. And
that's
like, okay,
that's very much like
take
this,
it out.
That's very much like this Tulsa King with Sylvester Stallone. It's very much like that. What a twat. He's come away with this as nothing. He was only the fucking driver, and it's like you've achieved nothing. You probably weren't even getting a big cut anyway.
But Vinny says, don't worry, there's a place for you to go. And he goes, where is it? He goes, I don't know. I don't want to know.
He goes, just go down to the docks and ask for Bob or whatever.
Yeah.
Where am I going? I don't know. It's like, okay. And imagine that, though. If you're just like, right, well, I've just got all my bag and I'm going to start this new life wherever that is. I might have to learn a new language. What the fuck?
Now, where they're going, so that's the intro, essentially.
Yeah, and
that's the first half of the first act, really. It sets everything up.
It's crazy, and really, it's really good though to finish. And the tail piece of that is to finish on where am I go down to the docks, so we know it's a boat, so it's obviously going to another island somewhere, another country, land, and ask this person, where am I going? I don't know. You know now that all the other people because we see them there, have done that as well.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what an intro to an epic film am I about to watch.
So we've got a guy with a hit on him, a gangster with a hit on him. We've got a money launderer, embezzler who calls his brother to shoot himself, so he's left his wife and run away. We've got a terrorist bomber, and we've got a hitman. And where they end up is a place called Porvenir in Colombia.
Is Gary Glitter there? It looks the sort of place where Gary Glitter would be.
Probably. It is a terrible looking place with poverty. There's a dead body in the street. There's flies and animals just everywhere. There's no food. There's barely anything to eat or drink. They're eating bread and water.
It just looks horrible.
It smells, Gav. I can smell it through my TV.
It looks horrible. Smell-o-vision.
But we see over the course of a few scenes that Kasim and Victor and Jackie are all there. With fake identities, so we must say they've all got these fake IDs, and they're trying to blend in, but these guys don't look like Colombian, especially Roy Schneider certainly doesn't look Colombian, and they're all kind of just trying to get by, Kasim, he makes friends with a man who calls himself Marquez, who looks like he was probably an ex-Nazi war criminal. So these are the kind of people that have moved to this village in Colombia.
Yeah.
Now Marquez does come into the story a bit more in a moment. But yeah, extreme poverty. They're earning barely any money, doing anything they can.
It looks just so depressing. You wake up each morning and just look out and it's the same thing, and it's a bit... there's nothing here, there's not much money. Yeah, and they all work together, sort of, or some of them all work together.
They're all saving up basically to get real passports so they can become real citizens and move around the country and get out of this part of the country. But they all realise it's going to take a really long time to do that. Now, while they're living there, Nilo, the hitman from the very first scene, he arrives in the village as well, and people are like, oh, he seems a bit suspicious because he's really shady and a bit
the hitman,
fidgety. Yeah,
he is a bit sketchy. He wears shades, got a little pencil sort of type moustache, hat. He's
not really trying to blend in, is he?
Not really. He's kind of cool in his own little way, Yeah, he's a hitman.
So this village has one huge income. Just outside of the village, there is an American oil company that has found a huge oil well, and it's pumping oil, and it's getting tons and tons of oil out. And this is the main income for the village, really. They get, they're not making money. They're not exporting anything else. Dead goats and whatever it is they've got lying around in the streets. It's oil. That's what's bringing any money, if any, into the village. Now, that's very important because in between all this stuff of police sort of harassing Roy Schneider and arresting him and then letting him go and threatening him and all this other stuff, the oil well explodes, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it's
we're
pretty decent.
Yeah, we're getting ahead a little bit. I was going to say, you've got a bit where they're in a bar earlier on and you've got the cops that come in and start hassling Roy. That's
what I say. They came in and arrested him, but they kind of let him go. But they let him know that they know that he's...
Well, they take him to the cop shop and they basically take his passport from him, saying, I need that. And they just tease him a little bit and just fuck around with him a bit.
And they sort of say, you're not called whatever his fake name is. We know your game. We know this village attracts... criminals from all over the world, and we're, we are the law. We can fuck you over if we want. We can do what we want to you.
Corrupt as fuck, yeah.
And he's just sat there thinking, "Oh, fucking hell, this is awful.
I just want to get out of here." And this is kind of where we're getting at. We've established this location of a piece of shit place we all want to get going, and we've established all our characters, and they're dying to get going. But I feel like everyone else is in there dying to get going. But obviously the guys we've discovered, and it is a very male-driven film as well. There's not so many females in it.
This village, for anyone that's seen a fantastic film called City of God, this is like one of those Brazilian favelas. It's just so crime-ridden and poverty-ridden. It's just not very nice at all.
And getting back to what you said, yes, an epic oil explosion. It's
and again,
fucking crazy. How'd they do this?
Again, it's 1977.
Just dynamite? What the fuck?
They set propane up, I think, to blast out the ground and lit it. But apparently, the crew, it was hotter than they expected. And the crew couldn't go within 50 feet of it. So they had to put it out from very far back with hoses when they were done with the scene. Fucking hell. No, because it's...
Yeah, go on.
No, go on. It's your birthday.
I was going to say, so they start talking about what to do.
Yeah, because this is going to burn up all the oil. They need to put it out. The only way you can really put out a fire like this isn't with water. Isn't with sand. It's with an explosion, which will then... all the earth will then, extinguish the fire. So they need some dynamite to blow. Basically, the only way to put out the fire is with dynamite, which sounds nuts, but it's a thing. It's the only way to do it because there's such a huge flame coming out of the ground.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So
exploding the fire, essentially. Yeah, I get it.
Fire to fight fire.
You're kind of disrupting the fire's flow.
Yeah. So, have we got any dynamite? Yes, we have got some dynamite somewhere in a shed. Talk to us about this shed, Gav. What's this shed?
Well, a fucking sketchy shed with all the dynamite. Are we going to say about how pissed off the locals are about the fact there's injured, dead people, and they just cause fucking havoc with the trucks?
We should probably
after the
talk about
explosion, it shows the town and the trucks coming back with the official security or whatever, bring them back, and it's got dead of the family, and they just start fucking beating up the security guards and pulling them off the truck and just fucking up because they're just so fucked off. It's just crazy. There's like a dictatorship almost going on in the country.
We should mention there's some really good makeup effects with the explosion. Some people on fire, some stuntmen on fire. Yeah. I'm always so impressed by guys that will set themselves on fire, these stuntmen. And then we see the aftermath of the bodies burnt there. But then, like you said, when they take the bodies off the trucks in front of the villagers and the villagers just do it themselves, there's just these blackened, charred bodies. People are screaming and crying because that's their brothers, their fathers, their friends.
They're pissed.
They're so... And the American oil company is like, we are fucked here. We need to fix this big time. First thing we need to do is put it out. And then we need to start again and bring more money into this and talk about compensation potentially, but we can't do any of that without putting this fire out.
Yeah, and we see a helicopter view of the fire as well, and it looks crazy.
It's absolutely huge.
Yeah, the chicken box of dynamite in this place, but some of the boxes, basically what you have to do with dynamite is you have to turn it every once in a while because otherwise the nitroglycerin, like a liquid, because it is a liquid, will drip out and be at the bottom of the... and that is essentially what is the explosion. There's going to be at the bottom of the wax paper packaging. And dangerous. And one of the guys just like putting his hand down the side of the dynamite going, oh my god, feeling it, and it's just like, this is not good. And he has a little drip on him and he goes and puts it on a stone, just flicks it off, and
this is where the tension starts this early.
It does. We start to see the power. As soon as we
get to the shed and he says, so he goes, shh, all of you, and you think, what? And he says to them, nobody move. And he explains, like you just said, with the dripping, and it hasn't been looked after. It's been just kept in a random old shed. The slightest vibration, if you shake it, if you drop it, especially, it's going to explode. And there's so much dynamite in that shed that could take out like the whole hill that it's on, because it's on top of a hill. Mm. So they're like, fuck, this is the only dynamite we've got is this nitroglycerin that's really faulty and leaking. What are we going to do? So they set up a pulley system, don't they, to slowly take it out. The guys are all sweating.
Well, they're like, the guy's like, any slight bump in this dynamite box of dynamite's going to go. Move it 10 feet and it's going to go. And they're like, what are we going to do? Can we do pulley system? A helicopter's out of the question. They're like, we could drive up there. And so, I was going to drive up there. And then they just go up to everyone. They say, look, we need experienced... They go into town and just say, we need experienced drivers, right? 8,000, whatever it is, each.
I think it's $10,000 each or something like that.
Okay. And And then the main guy, who's the business guy, the American who's there, he starts kind of almost giving driving teacher. He's like just doing them driving test instructor, and it's just testing him. We're just checking out all the locals, what they're like at driving lorries. Some of them can't get into the gear, and it makes the lorry jutter forward and back, and you can't have that. So no, you're out. But we do discover our people that we already know are quite good. Actually, we discover a different one, though, don't we? Because the hitman isn't involved just yet, is he?
No, not yet. No, he's in the village, but he's not involved yet. So the job description essentially is, we need 4 men. This is what he says to them as well.
And these are all desperate people.
We need 4 men to drive 2 trucks, 218 miles, that's 351 kilometres. And each truck is going to be packed full of pounds and pounds of nitroglycerin, which if you sneeze or fart near it, it will explode. And we need it driven 218 miles to put this fire out.
Through a jungle?
Through a jungle with trees and ravines.
Yeah, you didn't say that bit. Through the jungle.
If you do it, we'll pay you $10,000 or whatever it is. But you might not die. You might die. Any volunteers? But most people walk out.
But it's like that Jaws moment when they're sitting there going, "We've got to go capture the shark. Is anyone else going to come do it?" It's so yeah. Some of these people are desperate, and they put their hand up.
So Kasim, Victor, so the terrorist, Victor the money embezzler, Jackie, who's Roy Schneider, and Marquez, who's been living in the village before any of them. He's the ex-Nazi war criminal.
Yeah.
They all say, we'll do this.
Yeah.
We'll do this. That's not a problem.
Well, they get chosen as the ones to do it, and they start having to have like a BA moment, don't they?
I was going to say, it's like the A-Team, isn't it?
They're basically just finding what truck can they do. Well, all these trucks put together, can we let's do which one up and go, let's choose this one, and they still look shit.
They have to make the truck. That's the other part of the job description. Not only that, we're not even going to provide you with the vehicle. You've got to make it yourself.
Got to kind of choose whatever you want and make sure it works and just fix it up. Yeah.
Obviously, they're going to use sand in the back of the to keep the dynamite from shaking around. But
That's because that's one thing. So how do you do that? So they use big lot of sand in the back of the truck with 2 boxes of dynamite, and it's just like, what the shit?
And they call one truck Lazarus and one truck Sorcerer.
When this comes down to realism, though, let's be honest, that both of those lorries would have blown up probably as soon as they started driving off down the road. More than likely.
Yeah, how big they are.
It would have
you
been
can
like,
imagine
literally
turning the key.
Like they've only got to there, and they've
just turn the key.
Yeah.
Turn the key, the ignition, the engines in those.
Some of the stuff that they do in this, that there's no way. But let's just pretend that that's not a thing.
But it's a movie, isn't it? And
it's my birthday.
And it's your birthday.
Fuck off.
So while they're getting ready and they're discussing their plans to do this, Nilo, the hitman, he kills Marquez, the Nazi war criminal.
Yeah.
And he basically is replaced. He says, we need a driver. Roy Schneider says, well, we need a driver. He'll have to do. So they've got a new man.
Kind of his. Is that his plan, or was he there to actually kill him anyway?
But Kasim is really pissed off because he doesn't like where this is going.
But was that his plan, or was he there to kill him anyway?
I think he saw an opportunity.
I think so too.
I don't think it was fully planned out. I think he just saw the opportunity.
They do realise also, though, that they probably don't need both lorries, so they realise that one of them's actually, or both of them are actually, one lorry is expendable.
Yeah. So it's kind of a gamble as to...
And they realise that, and they both look at each other, and it's like, well, yeah.
It's kind of like the cannibal run. It's like every man for himself. Whoever can get to the finish line first and not be exploded is going to win and get the money.
Yeah,
not that
totally.
people like will run.
So they start off. I love the native guy who just like has a laugh and doesn't realise that the lorry's got dynamite in it, and Roy's just like he's driving around in New Jersey again. Get out the way! Beep, 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 beep. And this guy's like in his loincloth goes, "Hey, I'm going to run along and skip around and
he's jumping
chase
out
the
behind
lorry."
them.
And he's having a right old day, not realising there's a lorry full of dynamite. Roy's just like, "This is not good." So you've only just
not a good
started.
start.
Calm down, Roy.
It's really rough terrain, so to paint the picture, we're going through jungles, up and down, very steep.
My Prius wouldn't be doing it, that's for sure. I don't know how these lorries are.
There's rocks everywhere. They also have to drive along like cliff faces occasionally, where there's barely any road, and if you slip, your whole car is your truck is gonna go down a massive ravine. So it's just literally non-stop obstacles, and again, the tension continues to ramp up, doesn't stop all the way through this. And then we've got the elements, because we get some rain. We're in, obviously, Colombia. Rainforest.
Oh my god. It's
the
not
rain
just
is beating down.
I hate driving in the rain, and like motorways when it's pouring down rain. I had it fairly recently. It's been so bad you drive along. I'm not going through, admittedly it's quite bad. You got other cars, motorbikes, you're trying to like not hit them on the motorway. You don't have that in the jungle. Try not to. You don't have that in the jungle, but it's a jungle.
Yeah,
it's got other problems.
They're also trying to find their way. They've got
mud banks.
They've got a dodgy map as well.
They're
all
no
sweating.
Yeah.
Let's throw in the mix, Gav. It's fucking hot. It's really hot as well.
Humid. It's everything horrible. They both
got
probably
enough
stink.
food.
They're probably thirsty. It's just.
And then the final thing to the mix is none of them trust each other.
No, there's no trust whatsoever. So watching this film, you're just like, I'm just wondering if the dynamite's going to explode or not. It's like watching Jackass or something like that. That you're kind of just sitting there going, is this dynamite going to explode? I'm just going to watch. And then you just watch the tension between these people and how the desperation. And it's just it's an exploration, this film is, into like, different feelings and stuff.
The way they split off then in the trucks is Jackie, Roy Schneider, and the hitman Nilo are in one car, one truck, and Kasim and Victor, two very different people. One's a terrorist and one's just a money embezzler, are in the other one. Yeah. And they kind of start to get to know each other. So then you've got that lovely
I kind of like their one.
Yeah, they're all right.
Rather than Roy and the Hitman, actually.
Yeah, Roy and the Hitman. Sounds like a crap rap act from the 80s. Roy and the Hitman.
Or a really shit country band that tried to get a bit cool.
Roy and the Hitman. I'll go and see them in the local town hall.
I'd probably go see Roy and the Hitman. They get to a bridge. Oh my god.
A rotten bridge.
What the fuck?
The tyres get stuck, but they manage to make it.
And it's not the worst one yet, is it?
No, not yet.
Oh, God.
And the thing is,
it's like a taster.
Because they're not exactly sticking together along this trip.
No, there's been a bit of a gap, which kind of makes sense. And I thought that was on plan, and I assumed that was going to be where it kept going the whole time. There would be a big gap to just in case one of them explodes. But they kind of do, I suppose, in a way.
Yeah, they have to keep a certain distance apart, which means that they end up splitting off or taking slightly different routes here and there. They kind of got a rough idea of the way, and they've got a map, but as I say, the map's shit, and actually someone screws up the map and throws it away at one point because they realise this map's useless.
But when they're that first little bridge, it's not even that bad, but he's just got to move it left the wheel a bit, and he says to the French guys is it Nilo?
Nilo is the French guy's Victor.
Terrorist. Yeah, Victor Nilo, yes.
Kasim is with...
Kasim and Victor.
Yeah.
Right. Victor saying to Kasim, okay, you get back in the car, and the lorry, and Victor said, no, you do it. And he's just so like, and... or it's the other way around, isn't it? Kasim's in the van.
Kasim's driving, yeah.
Yeah, and he's just so angry with it. No, I don't want to. You do it. And he says, you do it. And he's going to just, I'm going to just forward you. And it's just, the left wheel's just almost going down. And it's really intense just for this little bit. And it's nothing of what we're going to get into.
And then the same thing happens for obviously Roy Schneider and Nilo. They have to cross a really shitty rope bridge as well. And this time Nilo gets out and he's sort of trying to guide in the rain, trying to guide Roy Schneider, left a bit, right a bit, left a bit, right a bit.
It's pouring of rain, different
and
in the face. You can hardly see the road.
He's on his knees trying not to slip off the bridge.
And this is not rain machines. This must have been raining. No,
I think it was rain machines.
Oh,
from what I read.
So you got to have control, I suppose. So yeah.
But this bit, why this scene, particularly with Roy Schneider's truck, is so tense is the way the bridge swings. The truck looks like it's almost going to flip upside down because it's swinging so violently from left to right in the wind and the rain. It's only its weight that's keeping it on this bridge.
Well, I haven't got to that bit yet.
Jesus Christ!
Slow down, Daniel. Slow down.
Sorry, go.
So they've just done this this first little bit where they go around this corner. It's not too bad. It's like a little taste of what we're about to get into. What damage just get into? So they kind of like drop down this like hill. First of all, isn't it? Roy and Anna coming down, and it's kind of like you can't because they go the wrong way, don't they?
Yeah, and they split off a little bit from the route, and the hill is so steep. And they're really worried about the bumps, all the bumps and rocks as they're going down it.
Yeah, because they're at a point where they go which way to go, and they see a local, and it's just local doesn't say anything. It's like, which way do we go? Or was that later on?
I think that's later on, actually.
Oh, okay, fine. Okay, so anyway, they get to this one bridge zone, it's just like, they're like, this is the wrong road. This is the fucking wrong road. Like, what the fuck? And they don't have any choice. They've got to go across this rope bridge.
And then obviously the rain comes down, and it's just. But they all both trucks managed to make it a bit further along, and they get to a point where they just can't go any further because a massive tree, and I'm talking a huge Amazonian tree.
Hang on! Don't go by that rope bridge so much as that. That's just that.
Oh, okay. Let's talk about the rope bridge.
The tense feeling you get watching that rope bridge, the vehicles going across.
I've written in my notes in capital letters, my God, it's so tense.
It's just ridiculous where you get...
it goes on forever as well.
Where you get Nilo... like you said, is out there in the rain going, come across. But when you had it with Victor and Kasim going across, Kasim, at one point, Victor's trying to go and Kasim's going there, and he can't see Kasim. Kasim falls through the crack in the bridge. As he falls through, the screen goes black because we're experiencing what he's experiencing. Then he comes back up and he pulls himself up. The lorry is still coming at him, and Victor's going, I can't see you! I can't see you! And it's almost going to like drive over his head. And you're like, what? Stop making this film more intense. It's insane. And they do get across, and then Roy has to do it as well. And it's just the way the lorry moves.
This is the set piece, really, the main sort of...
It's the front cover, it's the poster.
Yeah, of course. And they built this bridge, like I say, with hydraulics. And I think something happened where either the bridge was destroyed or during terrible weather and they had to rebuild it somewhere else. But this bridge ended up costing like 5 times as much than they thought, because either they were told to take it down by local authorities or it got destroyed. So they had to rebuild this bridge in a separate location and film some bits of it again.
Wow.
And Roy Schneider said that's the hardest part of he's ever done in his career, that bridge scene, doing that over and over and over again at night, with the wind and the rain machines. And although it was relatively safe because they were all like harnessed up and whatever, it's still intense, man, with those big trucks.
God.
And you can see it. You can see it coming through on the actors' faces.
There's something very interesting going on. As it's going on, the bridge is almost like a character in itself, and it's almost screaming. You've got these really low sounds, it sounds like, of a kid screaming. And I think they've put in the sound, like the sound mix, and it kind of makes the bridge almost like an enemy.
And that's what Friedkin wants. That's why it's called Sorcerer, because there is like an evil sorcerer, an evil wizard of fate overseeing everything, whether it's the bridge, the dynamite, the tree that we're going to come up to. All of it is just designed to make it incredibly difficult for them.
When Roy gets over, he's like, that's it, we're now on to 20k each, because there's no way that they will make that.
I know. He's really pleased. He thinks that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Still reminding us that he's a baddie again.
Then you get over that. Then what the fuck? The size of this tree?
Yeah. So it's an Amazonian rainforest tree that's fallen. That's not. It couldn't have been known.
It doesn't look like you could make a house out of this tree.
Yeah, it's huge. It's about half as tall as a house.
Yeah.
And really long. They kind of laugh, don't they? Manically now, like, what are we going to do? And as they discover it, the other truck pulls up.
Well, yeah, the other guys catch up to them, but before that, Roy's just like, what the fuck, grabs a machete and just starts hacking through, going, I'm going to make a road over here. And they're just like, Nilo's just laughing at him, then pulls out his gun, because he says, use the machete. He throws it at him, and he pulls out a gun and just starts shooting at him, saying no. And then the other two just turn up, and you're like, oh my god.
Now, luckily, the other truck.
But you're like, though, the first thing when you see that, you're like, shit, what are they going to do? And I was just like, what are they going to do? I have no idea.
Well, luckily, the other truck that's pulled up has got Kasim in it, who is a terrorist. He's an explosives expert.
And I didn't know what they were doing, though. So when they started setting up this like little booby trap type thing, I was like, how are they? What?
This is my favourite scene. I know the rope bridge is like the main scene, but this is my favourite scene for the whole 18 MacGyverness of it all. What they do then, listeners, is they fashion a tripod of really long branches over the top of the tree. They get loads of sand, and they basically fill up the pockets. It's Victor's very posh silk trousers that they use. They get him to cut he pulls a knife out, doesn't he, and he grabs his pockets, and he could almost be cutting his balls off, because he looks him in the eyes as he slices his silk pockets off. And they use that as a sandbag, and then they use some of the dynamite and they very carefully they put it there with a rock above it on a pulley system. The
other three, though, run off like shit. They run so fast, and you can see like the acting in this is like it's real. It's actually happening, which it obviously did actually happen because they explode it. And but they leave poor old Kasim's up there just trying to get the finishing touches. So then when he gets down, he's trying to run so fast he's tripping over and stuff, because he's like, at any second this explosion, I don't know how big the explosion is going to be, is going to take this tree out. I've got to get the fuck away from here.
So what he's done is he's put a hole in the bag of sand so that it slowly starts to get lighter and lighter.
It's in like a V shape of a tree, so that it's wedged, so as it goes down the bag will slip between the V shape of the tree wedge, and then the rock drops onto the explosion. Nitroglycerin, and explosion.
The explosion is ginormous.
He just makes it out of the start. Yeah, and the tree, the explosion's like, what the fuck?
And I was really excited now, because like I said, this was my favourite scene at this point. I was like, that was incredible. And then I was like, has it worked? They all slowly go back over, and it takes ages for the camera to pan over. They really hold you, and then the camera finally shows you. Not only has it worked, it's blown a fucking huge clear road right the way through that they can easily drive the trucks through. Oh, it's like this is like a little moment of like, you can have a little breather.
They leave a whole box of dynamite on the tree, though, because I was like, how much are they going to use?
A whole box.
But by the way, very quickly going back to that bridge scene, just as they're trying to get across that last little bit, you've got the structure of the bridge is starting to collapse.
Yeah.
That made it so much even more intense. It's like, can you stop making it so intense? How do you keep doing this?
You might as well have just had sharks and crocodiles underneath the bridge.
Yeah.
With laser beams on their head and pterodactyls circling them overhead.
All sorts.
So they've cleared a path, Gav. We can breathe for a moment.
Just
until we get to this
I love it when they do run from it, the first three guys, when they ran to it, and they just get into the lorries and reverse.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Get the other dynamite away from the explosion.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
But this breather that the audience and them are given doesn't last too long.
This breather's a nice little moment where they go, wow, we've just done this. So you got this lovely moment where Victor and Kasim are driving along, and Kasim's like, are you married and stuff? Like, yeah, I have got a wife. I haven't seen my wife. Last time I saw was my watch. Last thing she gave me. It's fucking, I love this watch.
You got children? No, but I do want to have children.
Yeah.
And they're really
nice little moment,
getting to know each other.
It's what we need after all that tension. We need a nice little... and they're getting to know each other, and it's quite nice, isn't it?
It is, until that moment is rudely interrupted when the wheel slips, the tyre bursts.
The tyre explodes, and they start to go down, and as they start to move, the lorry explodes and they die.
Now, do we see the explosion, or do we see it from Roy Schneider's point of view?
No, we do sort of see it a little bit, but then we see the smoke from their distance, and they're coming up to it. They're behind them now. So I don't know how they're behind them now, but they are.
They know there's only one way that there's an explosion that big in the jungle, and that's that their buddies in the truck in front of them.
They're not really their buddies, but they have gone through this journey, so they are at least kindred spirits of that sense.
So they're fucked. We've lost half the cast.
Also, though, bandits have heard the noise.
Oh, shit. Pirates. Pirate bandits.
So we've just, these two, which we quite like, that's it. They're just taken out of the movie. And it's like, the fuck? So we're left with one lorry now. Very good. So just to recap, what I loved about all of that series of sequence of events is I love the whole tree and the setup and the blowing it up and the way they did it. Then I love the ease off of tension for a split second when they're victorious. They've cut through the tree. Then I love that lovely moment of Victor and Kasim getting to know each other, and they're a bit more relaxed because they're on the last stretch now. And then that is cut short so brutally with this explosion, and they're just taken out. And you're like, whoa, I was just getting to know those guys. They were just getting to know each other. Fuck. And I love the way that Friedkin and the cast and the writing takes you on this fucking roller coaster for several scenes. You're like, oh, you bastard. Yeah, because you heard it, you're like, oh, that's the introduction to all the characters and stuff. It's like the first scene, and it's like, it's not, yeah, it is. I suppose the second scene is the jungle and that, but then that kind of goes into the third scene. It's not really a normal structure of this film whatsoever.
No, it's unlike anything I can recall seeing.
I didn't sort of think to sort of break it down. I think that actually confused me a little. I'd have to sort of really sit there for a little moment and go, okay, this is that, that's this, and that's that. But it's unconventional, and I guess it's him doing what he wants. Friedkin.
So Roy Schneider and Nilo pull up at the wreckage of their buddy's truck.
And they can see the watch. The watch is there, isn't it, I think?
I think the watch is there, and there's some body parts and smoke. However, while they're there, like you mentioned, Gav,
bandits.
Some Colombian bandits arrive.
Ass bandits. No, hopefully not.
And they surround them, and they basically are speaking to them. They didn't really understand what they're saying. He's trying to sort of explain to them, please leave us alone. Don't touch the truck. Don't look in the truck. But the more he does that, the more they're like, what have you got? What are you transporting? So he starts saying, Roy Schneider just starts saying random things like toilet paper, rice. He just starts listing random products.
He knows that they're going to look in here. I don't know what's going on here, but while this is happening, we have got Victor, who's just in the front.
Nilo,
sorry, in the front, just sort of sitting there going, oh, hang on, I'll get out in a minute, because you've got some of the guys saying, get out. There's like 3 of them. It's like, get out.
And he's acting like he is a bit under the weather and injured.
You're telling a hitman to, we know what's going to kind of go on here.
Yeah. Well, Nilo, he shoots one of them, and there's a bit of a fight between them all. They take them. Nilo takes pretty much all of them out.
Pretty much.
But
he does get shot, unfortunately.
He is shot in the process, yeah. Roy takes out the last one with a shovel. Fucking great kill. And it's a really brutal, you don't really see it, but the way it's shot and the sound design, you know that he's caved this guy's head in with a shovel. Roy Schneider smashing a guy in the head with a shovel. It's brilliantly done. It's such a gritty film.
Imagine your situation though. You're a desperate man, your life is fucked, and all of a sudden you found yourself going through the jungle one day with a fucking
a hitman.
With a hitman who you don't know, with a dynamite in the back, which could explode like the dudes down there. Your life isn't whatever. So then these guys come along and say, fuck off, I'm not having a good day. And it's just like, I'm going to pave your fucking head in with a shovel because I don't care. isn't it?
Well, we cut to night time, and Nilo is dying. He's not in a good way.
We're in like some trippy place here. Roy's not having a good time either, I think. He's starting to fucking trip out.
Yeah, well, in a moment, he has a full-on paranoid trip.
It's all blue. They drive through this rocky place.
It looks like Tatooine or something from Star Wars.
It's kind of weird.
Because it's nighttime, and because there are, obviously in the desert, or wherever they are, there is no fake light. There's no like man-made lighting. So the way the stars and the sun and the nighttime illuminate these rocks and this landscape, it looks like they're on another planet. It's beautiful.
And Nilo has died, and his laugh, because he has this thing where he laughs quite a lot in this movie. His laugh is now like the sound design, while Roy's just driving aimlessly around this weird place.
Well, he says to him, he tries to keep him alive for a little bit. He says, "What are you going to do with your cut of the money?" And Nilo says, "I'm going to get the finest whore in Colombia." And Roy's like, "You might as well get the 2 finest whores in Colombia." And he's trying to like keep him alive, but then he dies. So he drags his body out. He leaves him in the desert, and then he carries on driving. And then
that's when you get the sound design of the laughing and just the weirdness,
deprivation, the paranoid exhaustion.
It's exhaustion, yeah.
And yeah, they start mixing in flashbacks to New York, flashbacks to what's recently happened, and he starts hallucinating as he's driving.
And he stops, doesn't he? He stops, and then starts the van. Why does he stop?
To take the body out.
Oh, okay. Starts the van lorry again, and guess what? It doesn't start.
Fuck's sake.
So what's he gonna do? The next shot's him just walking up the road with a box of dynamite in his hands.
Very carefully.
Not well. He's just trying to get across the road. Yeah.
I actually said out loud to myself because it's 218 miles, and he's written that on the dashboard. And when they get there, it says how many miles? Oh yeah, when the truck doesn't start, it says 216.
Yeah.
So he knows he's got 2 miles left to walk with this dynamite.
So he just starts walking. And luckily, we see some people come out and just grab the box of dynamite from him.
Well, just before that, this is this part of the film now where I actually shouted out loud when it cut to Roy Schneider in the middle of the night walking through with a box of dynamite. I actually shouted out, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" Because I was like, I can't take any more tension. And he's about to collapse from exhaustion on top of that. If he falls over, boom. Boom, boom. But yeah, the people who work for the oil company see him, they run over, they grab the dynamite, they carefully take it away. He collapses. They use it to stop the burning. Obviously, we don't really see that, but they do it.
And he becomes he's like the hero. He's got respect now. He turns up with the business guy at the back who owns the oil company. He's got his checks and stuff in his shirt and stuff, and they go into like a bar, and he says, "Okay,
he buys him a drink.
He gives him a check. Goes, "What the fuck am I going to have a check?" He goes, "It's all right. Someone's coming down to take you to the bank. You will have your money by 2:00 this afternoon. I promise."
He says you'll have a passport.
40,000. Yep.
He says you'll have a passport. You'll be a citizen of the country. You'll have a bank account, and you'll have all this money. So you're going to be absolutely fine.
Yeah. And he looks over to the cleaning lady, and he's like, "When do I have to go? Do I have to go right now?" And he goes, "No." He goes, "They'll wait. If it's you, they'll wait for you because he's now got this new."
Yeah. He saved the village. He saved the whole village. Yeah. Brought money back into the village.
And he takes the cleaning lady's hand and has a little dance with her. And
the backstory to that very quickly is because he's been looking at pictures of beautiful women on and off.
He's Mrs. Women.
And he wants to dance with a woman, so he picks up this cleaning lady and he has a bit of a slow dance with her. But carry on then, Gav, as it's your birthday episode. Tell us.
We pan to outside, and as we get to outside, and we know that he's won. Roy's won. We pan to outside, a taxi turns up, and a couple of guys come out, and it's the guy that told him.
Vinny, yeah,
the guy that told him to where to go down to the docks. I don't know where you're going. He turns up, so he obviously did know where he was going. Yep. With someone else, so that means they're going to go in there and kill him. And they walk into that bar, and we finish. And
we finish. We hear a gunshot. If you listen carefully, you hear a gunshot. But Friedkin said he wanted it to be to think it was either a car backfiring, a gunshot, anything. But you do hear like a very muffled shot. So we don't know his fate. We assume he's, after all of that, he's probably been shot. He got his comeuppance because none of these guys are good guys.
I think I think that is actually correct. I would say your predicament is right there. Yeah. He's not a bad guy. He doesn't deserve to get the money. He got shot.
Yeah.
So like nobody wins in this movie.
So after all that tension, no one's fucking. I'm tense now talking about it. My shoulders have been up.
But if you said to me, right, well, watch it again, then I'd be like, all right then.
Yeah, Gav, I'd sit and watch this with you. Honestly, I'd love to sit and watch this with you because I can imagine us going, oh no. To sum up, obviously, I absolutely loved this film.
Good.
For me, it's got real opening scenes of Exorcist vibe mixed with Deliverance, some parts of Jaws, and that's not because of Roy Schneider, just some of the tension and the realism. Yeah. And I'm getting a lot of, because of the trucks, a lot of Spielberg's Jaws vibes as well. And it's just a sign of its times. Those late 70s were magic years with American filmmaking. Fucking hell, this was great.
I think if you appreciate films like Apocalypse Now, films like of that sort of epic scale of real, like, oh my god, this is like, we're gonna sit down and watch a fucking movie now. Put the phone away. I'm gonna watch a fucking movie. That sort of thing. This is So old cinema, real cinema.
Old cinema, real filmmaking.
Yeah, it's
at its finest.
Classics, like we don't see stuff like this now.
Wonderful film. Obviously a thumbs up from me, and I'm sure from you as well.
It's the beauty of cinema and why all of us are here right now listening to this podcast, or Dan and I hosting it, because we love fucking cinema and we love movies. We love the escapism of going off into a little world of a film. We all love it. The world loves it. There's whatever reason that is, and these films do different things for you. But this one, oh man, have a spare pair of pants.
And what I would say, Gab, as well, is if you, which I don't think you have, go onto the Wikipedia page and go onto IMDb trivia. There's lots of background stuff on there about all the stuff that went on behind the scenes.
I tell you what, I might have to do a YouTube. I bet some people have just done their own kind of behind the scenes.
They've probably broken it down, yeah. There was even some stuff with Schneider not getting on with Friedkin because he spoke up for the cast and said to Friedkin, you need to stop firing people because I'm fed up of going to the airport and saying goodbye to these people. You're firing people left, right and centre. But then they had all the trouble with the sets and the real weather that hit, and just crazy.
If you said to me, right, you've got a chance to make a proper studio movie, you're going to make this movie. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Yeah. I'm not going to make a studio movie then. It's just too much. It's just
the score is phenomenal, over the top, just adding to that crazy, because it gets all very. It's described as an existential high tension thriller, and it is at times quite existential towards the end, especially with Schneider.
It's these four men questioning their lives.
Yeah,
So yeah,
how did we end up here?
How and why and what the fuck are we going to do about it? Yeah, watch this movie.
It's a series of events. Fucking great.
Watch this film, people. It might not be for you. The first time I watched this with Sarah, she fell asleep. She might not like me saying that, but I think she's probably just pretty tired, actually. She enjoyed it this time around. I don't think it's probably going to be for everybody. I wouldn't have liked watching this when I was 17, 18. I might not have appreciated it at all. I'm older. I can sit with an older film and appreciate it more nowadays. So I don't know. Might not be for you, and it's not horror, but it is fucking tense.
It's not horror, but it's a thriller, and it's tense, and it's got some good sort of. It's just good.
What's it classed as? I bet it's just like a drama. Drama thriller, maybe. Action drama thriller.
There we go. Great stuff.
Yeah, 7.7 out of 10.
Honestly, I think Deliverance is as close as I could say. It feels like it's that kind of tension of guys on a trip.
Better than Deliverance, though.
Oof, I don't know, man.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe because I've only seen this once.
Oh, no, it's way better than
Deliverance is above this movie.
Do go back to French Connection. Do definitely watch that. And do Cruising. And I'm going to say that we should probably do Cruising as an actual an episode, because it is actually about a detective after Al Pacino after a serial killer. Eureka!
Okay. All right, brilliant. Well, thank you, Gav, for giving me a present on your birthday of these two beautiful films.
Yes, no problem. Great.
Let's have a little break and then come back to say goodbye and happy birthday to everybody.
Goodbye. Okay, let's come back.
Ooh. Well, that was a tense end to the episode. But a fantastic episode, Gav.
Good. I'm glad my choice again hasn't been too bad.
Yeah. Good stuff, and I hope you enjoyed your birthday episode.
I did.
I need to take your birthday pants off now. I mean, your birthday crown off now. Sorry, and put that back away.
I'll pull them back up then. There you go.
There you go. Right. So that was episode 148. Good times in some ways. Enjoy both the films. Let's talk about what's coming up.
Please.
Our next episode.
Give it to me, baby.
All the girls say episode 149 is a director special. We're talking Adam Green.
Oh, yes.
And we're going to be covering Frozen.
Yeah.
From 2010 and Digging Up the Marrow from 2014.
Yeah, I went to Fright Festival premiere of Digging Up the Marrow.
I've only seen it once and I absolutely loved it, so I'm excited to go back and watch that again.
It got Ray Wise, so you know.
Yeah, I love a bit of Ray. So that's 149. Episode 150 after that is another patron. And our friend RJ McCready has picked 2 London gangster films for us.
Yes. So interesting.
Long Good Friday with Bob Hoskins from 1980, and the classic Guy Ritchie Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels from 98. Wowee, we're going to have a
gangster double bill. So not horror, but we're doing a gangster double bill. But people do get murdered though, so it's fine. We can talk about Vinnie Jones crushing people's heads in cars.
Yeah, and just lots of good stuff.
I can't wait for that though. I was gutted that I didn't get to meet. I was going to do a gangster tour. I think it was. Was it a gangster tour? It might have been actually, or something. I can't remember now. I think it was with the dude with the curly hair.
Oh yeah.
But I had COVID.
A man also gets beaten to death with a big black rubber dildo in that film, so there'll be lots to discuss.
Yeah.
Interesting. And then after that, episode 151. I'm pleased to announce we'll be coming back to a franchise that we started. We're going to be coming back to Chucky.
Oh, and really now?
We'll be covering Child's Play 3, which was famously banned for a while in the UK. So we can talk about that. And, of course, the follow-up from 98, Bride of Chucky, which is where Ronnie Yu stepped in and things got a little bit more comical, but it started really becoming its own little cult thing then at this point. So interesting to discuss.
Did he do Freddy vs. Jason?
He did, yes, he did, which we'll be covering at some point when we get to that point in the franchise. So we're talking Adam Green followed by some London gangsters, and then after that we'll be getting lucky with Chucky. So the next 3 episodes are going to be huge fun. Stick with us, everyone.
Plucky, fucky, ducky, sucky.
It's your birthday. Sucky
with Chucky.
Wow, I wouldn't. Yeah. I heard a rumour that they're making a Megan versus Chucky movie.
I don't care.
Okay. Well, let's do some admin. Let's do our little admin bits, housekeeping, as it were, and then we'll move on. So, as always, and as we have been for the last 148 episodes.
We need a little thing, don't we? Someone saying housekeeping, like a little thing, you know.
What's that in? Housekeeping? It's probably in a lot of films. Yes, as always, we have been the podcast on Haunted Hill. Thank you, everybody, for listening, for supporting, and just doing all the things that you do. We love you all, and we love films, and we love Gav's birthday. You can contact us on the podcast on Haunted Hill at outlook.com if you want to send us an email. We are a proud member of Legion Podcast Network. Go to legionpodcast.com to find out more about us, all our back episodes, as well as all the other shows under the network. We're on Facebook. Just search for the podcast on Haunted Hill. We have a brilliant network, family of friends and amazing supporters and silly people who just post nonsense up that we love looking at all day long.
Yeah, every day the Facebook page has probably, 15 odd posts? 10
yeah, I would say so.
Daily. Yeah,
it's great. And as well as Legion has their own Facebook page as well, so just go to Legion Podcast.
It's a nightmare
awesome.
if you're ever trying to look for something. You can use, obviously, the search in a group and type in a keyword. But sometimes you're like, I could give up. Fuck that, I can't.
But do join us and do tell us what you're watching. Everybody posts what they're watching, what they're looking forward to, trailers, posters, just memes and GIFs. It's brilliant. Wherever you're listening to us now is where you can continue to listen to us. We're available on most podcast platforms, Spotify, YouTube, Podknife, Apple, etc., etc. We're on Instagram, the podcast on Haunted Hill Insta, which is where I promote the episodes a day or so after they come out with a little montage and a link to the episode. We also have our production company, which is now a real company, Gav, isn't it? It's a real boy now.
It's an actual business. You can look up businesses in England and see Deadbolt Media.
At the moment, it's all still deadboltfilms.com. We have a Deadbolt channel on YouTube, and we're on
Deadbolt
again.
Films.
Deadbolt Films, and we're on Instagram as well under Deadbolt Films, all one word. We are also on Patreon. So thank you to all of our patrons. We'll thank you individually in just a moment. If you want to become a patron, and you do not have to do it, we would do this if we didn't have one single patron. But if you want to become a patron and support the show in a financial way, that will help us to continue to keep the show growing, to rent and buy films and equipment and other bits and bobs that we need to keep going, really, because 10 years of doing this has cost a little bit of money here and there, and
it's massively appreciated. And time as well. It's not a quick thing.
As we discussed on our 100th or our 10-year episode, it's like four nights.
But we
give up.
We still love it.
Yeah, but if you become a patron, you'll get a T-shirt sent to wherever you live in the universe. I'll say that now, Gab. In the universe. So you'll get a T-shirt sent to you. You'll also get to have a patron.
I guess no one from the rover or whatever it is on the moon or whatever's going to.
Let's hope not.
Want a T-shirt.
Because the British
Royal Mail's not
British Postal Service isn't very good.
They're in shambles at the moment. There's another program I watched. I watched a fucking TV program on with Toby Jones as the lead.
Yeah,
it was actually quite a good show.
Yeah, and it's now opened up the can of worms and shown everybody just how corrupt that whole thing was.
That was fucked, yeah.
Yeah. So you'll get a T-shirt, you'll get access to exclusive content as well as all of our back catalogue. And you'll also get, as well as a shout out, which I'll do in a moment, to all of our patrons, you'll also get your chance to partake in Patreon. So every 3 episodes, one of our patrons gets to decide the 2 movies that we watch, whether they're horror or something related to dark or thriller.
Yeah, it's got to have. We got slight rules to it, guys. You got to remember, it has to be slightly. It's got to be like someone being hurt or deaf.
You can't just throw in My Best Friend's Wedding or something like that.
It doesn't have to be deaf, but it's got to be a dark tone to it.
Yeah, but you'll also get to do that as well. So. If you want to do that, go to Patreon, search for the podcast on Haunted Hill. If you can't find that anywhere, email us. Again, it's the podcast on Haunted Hill at outlook.com, or message me on Facebook, private message me, and I'll share the link to you. And as always, thank you to our beautiful, wonderful patrons who are they're sexy patrons. And they're all going to get a nickname, I've decided. I'm not going to do a voice today. I'm going to give them all a nickname.
I'm going to do the dirty perv noises after you say their names.
I'm sure they'll all really appreciate that.
It's my birthday. I can do what I want.
Of course. So the nicknames are going to be related to their, not rhyming the names, but the same letters as their names. So, thank you to Dangerous Don Collier, Magnificent Matthew Godley. I'm trying to think of a good one with J. Juxtapositioning Jamie Jenkins.
What?
Conniving Kevin S5. Sensational Sarah K. Ridiculous Rachel.
Ooh.
Robotic RJ McCready. And the lovely Lex Boo. I apologise. Some of you had better nicknames than others.
I apologise.
Probably going to be offended and unpatron yourselves from us, and I don't blame you.
I apologise for anything that came out of my mouth.
Or goes in it.
Anything. Are you saying the dick's been in your mouth before?
It's going to blow your own dick
You can blow
into
your
your
dick
mouth.
again? What?
Great stuff. Great movie. I'll go back and watch that one again. In fact, both of these I need to check out again in the next couple of months, really. Thank you, everybody. Let's say our good nights. It is a good night from Jeff Garlin blowing his own dick into his own mouth.
So it's been there before. Yeah. Sorry, it's my turn. It's good night from the birthday boy Gav.
And it's a good night from a very sweaty Roy Schneider carrying a box of dynamite for 2 miles.
I'm going to carry it for 2 miles. I couldn't even get my teenagers or my kids to walk 2 miles. And he does it with dynamite in the jungle.
After all that he's been through, after fighting off bandits.
After all that he's been through, I know.
So it's a good night from all of them, and it's a good night from us.
Yeah. Good night, everybody. Be safe. Be careful. Do look under the bed for Roy Schneider with a box of dynamite smiling at you.
And don't forget, guys, if you do keep dynamite in your shed, Gav, the rule is keep rotating it.
Rotate that so that nitroglycerin keeps in the middle.
It's like wine. You've got to rotate it every few weeks.
Yeah, you should do. Anyway,
good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you for listening to the podcast on Haunted Hill. We will be back again real soon.